Nerdrotic.com.
Hopefully that isn't all blown out now. Hopefully this doesn't sound terrible. I'm going to have to check my sound in a second, but I'm guessing it's going to be okay. It looks a little high right now. Looks a little high, so I'm going to fix that real quick. That looks better. Okay, it looks like it works now. So, hi, everybody. How's it going? Yes, that's much better. I had to do some updating of the firmware. Apparently, it decided to go haywire right when the show started, although it sounded fine before that. But that's okay. And then my dog was outside whining at the door because dogs don't like moving. And it takes them like a month to get settled. So every time you pick up something, they think you're abandoning them and they go nuts. So that's good that it sounds good. All right, we could get going now on this Star Trek day, the Star Trek platform day. And we have Gina Carano running for governor of California. At least she's getting my vote. And of course, we have some Doctor Who rumors we need to discuss. And Hollywood, you know, every day they prove us right in every single action that we see from all of the many adult pretenders or their spawn, or even a comic book writer's spawn will go out there and do things that spawn do, especially when they have parents who are adult pretenders or write funny book stories and, I don't know, aren't parenting very much. I'm not here to judge. You know, I was not the best kid in the world. But yeah, listen, when you go and you demolish a Starbucks and you probably gave him an attaboy, and I'm talking about Greg Rucka's son, and instead of thinking about maybe all the people who worked in that Starbucks and, you know, doesn't matter because these adult pretenders are creating more of themselves, and that is a problem. That is a major problem. But yes, I hung on to all the super chats from the last one. I got them all up, so we're good. We are solid there. And we will go forward with what we were going to do today and what we were going to talk about. So Star Trek. How did we get here? That's the question. Everybody's been kind of reminiscing about their favorite Star Trek stuff, and I'm calling this Shatner Day because they completely disrespected William Shatner, and we'll get to that. And we know why. We know why, because the organization, the CBS Viacom, whatever the hell they're calling themselves, is one of the most petty billionaire companies on planet Earth. And they're pretty thin-skinned. They can't handle even the slightest criticism. And that's fine. That's fine. But when you come after, all this has done is split up the fandom. And that's aside from the horrific storytelling, which is the fundamental problem with all of this. It's not even really with Star Trek, the identity politics, which is most definitely there. They don't even woke right. They can't even do that right. So it's just been horrendous storytelling. And then we get an animated series that can put together an episode with a beginning, middle, and end, and they want their participation award. They want to say Star Trek is back. Star Trek is not back in a Cal Arts in a Cal Arts cartoon. It is far from back. But guess who is back? Q is back. Q is back to judge us all. But I can't put up my Nerdrotic thing. I'll show you why. It'll be invisible. It'll be invisible. Whoa. I picked the wrong century to quit acid. I really did. So yeah, I can't put that up. So on this big Star Trek day, I don't know if you've noticed in our sphere, if you're critical of this show, people tend to go nuts. Same with Doctor Who, same with Star Wars, but they tend to really go nuts in Star Trek, and they go pretty dark and they go pretty hard. And you know, it's all I have to say is, does this make Star Trek better? I can argue that at least when I'm saying I don't like Star Trek and I tell you why I don't like Star Trek, I want it to be better. I want it to be good. I want to enjoy a good Star Trek episode, and I just love to review some normal Star Trek. That's not going to happen in this era. It's not going to happen under Alex Kurtzman. Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery will be a complete disaster because it has the same people working on it. If you had a whole new crop of writers, I might be thinking about it. But, you know, the one competent writer you had who just happened to be a black man, you fired. You humiliated him publicly. That's the kind of people who run Star Trek. They don't just fire you, they humiliate you publicly. They make you go to the HR department when you are an award-winning writer sitting in there with some 20-somethings who wrote a couple of CW episodes, who are probably the ones who ratted them out, by the way. Check out my video on the subject. It's Walter Mosley. So that, you know, don't judge anybody by what they say. Judge them by their actions. I was just having a little conversation with Lady Gravemaster about that very thing, and she mentioned that, and she is right. She is right. By the way, this episode produced by Lady Gravemaster, and of course, the great intro is by the equally great Perry Chan, who we love. So how did I get here? So I like Star Trek, and I'm not going to reminisce about my favorite episodes. I mean, you guys can. I'd love to hear from you. So I just have early memories of watching this crazy sci-fi show when I was 4, 5, 6, something like that. And one of my earliest toy memories, remember Alex Kurtzman said that Star Trek doesn't really have much of a legacy when it comes to toys. He did say that, by the way, although I've got a pile of them behind this green screen that will say otherwise. But one of my earliest memories was my mom getting me a Mego Captain Kirk because she recognized the guy that I liked on the TV. So she bought the Kirk action figure, and I still have it to this day. It's one of my most prized possessions. It's beat to hell. It's dirty, and I love it. Megos are just absolutely the best action figures. Yes, they're dolls. I don't care. I love Megos. They're my fave. So that's my earliest memory. Watched it on and off, and I lived in San Diego. We got all the LA stations, so I got to watch it, almost every day, twice a day. And then when TNG came on and all the other shows, it was like all day long, and it was great. It was great. It was a good thing to watch when you get home from a hard day's work. For me, it was like delivering auto parts or working at the warehouse records, which wasn't really that hard, to be honest with you. Or when I was getting like really loaded and I just needed an escape, Star Trek was perfect escapism. Doctor Who and Star Trek are perfect escapism, the classic versions. If you would just want to immerse yourself in another world, be entertained, have a little fun, think a little bit, but not too much, you watch Star Trek and Doctor Who and you go about your life. And it was a comfort, because that's what these things are. They're leisure items meant to be enjoyed in comfort. I want you to keep that word in mind, comfort. So let's fast forward to 2017. My channel is got like 300 subs, and I'm just reviewing TV shows, and I had just started. So the only shows I had reviewed so far were pretty good at the time. Pretty excited about things. I had Ash vs. Evil Dead. And we had Westworld Season 1. So Star Trek was coming back, and, I watched a couple of Midnight's Edge videos. They were kind of on top of this at the very beginning. I don't know about anybody else, but I reviewed the first episode live right after it aired, the first 2 episodes. And I was pretty easy on it, honestly. I didn't like it, but I was pretty easy on it. And I'm like, listen, we've heard there's a bunch of trouble. Maybe things clear up throughout the season. We'll see. And it just got worse, and it just got worse. And then I believe it was the 4th episode, The Butcher Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry, was just a dumb episode. It was ridiculously dumb. And you noticed it began like the first few minutes of the first episode of Star Trek Discovery. It's Captain Georgiou and Michael Burnham walking and making a big, oh my God, why am I want to say trident? Making the big Star Trek in the sand, making the big freaking Star Trek little badge in the sand and it was stormy. I remember it was stormy. So I don't know how they would have seen it. I forgot why they couldn't beam them up, but it was just Georgiou gave her a little lecture about how awesome she was. And then they start the episode and it goes from there. Of course, Michael Burnham starts the Klingon War. I haven't watched the first season in a long time, but Michael Burnham was instrumental in starting the Klingon War. We had a Klingon ship that was covered in sarcophagi, and they had torches on the inside, and they were supposed to look like orcs. And of course they were based on Trump supporters, and it was all off to the races from there. So I reviewed every single episode, thought it was complete garbage, and didn't really think much about the writers at the time. It was just covering the show. And the channel started to get a little traction, and it was getting traction from other shows too. So I was doing other things. I was reviewing American Gods, getting like the same views. But it was just a show to me. I like Star Trek a lot, but I'm like, yeah, this is typical. It looked a lot like JJ Trek, which even at the time I didn't know. I didn't like Into Darkness, but I didn't think they would be copying the same aesthetic, and that was kind of a disappointment to me. I mean, I guess it made sense since they brought over, and they said this in the special features in the first season, they brought over pretty much all the effects people. And it showed to me that they didn't really have an original idea, that this was just going to be JJ Trek. And then we learned about the bad robot deal and the 25%. We still don't have verification of that. There's just a lot of circumstantial evidence. Everything looks, the Klingons, just look at the Klingons. And if they bring Worf back, what's he going to look like? And are they going to explain it? And maybe they are, because supposedly Star Trek is all under one big umbrella now. So through reviewing Star Trek, I meet Doomcock, I meet Midnight's Edge, Mecca was reviewing it. Others were too. Eventually I met Robert Meyer Burnett, got a lot of viewers out of this and a lot of like-mindedness. And I remember my early reviews, they were split down the middle. People were hating my reviews and people were loving them. And the ratio was 50-50. And then it started growing in my favor as the season went on. And then, of course, we got season 2 and blah, blah, blah. Then Picard, which I will argue is much, much worse. And we have all the drama, all the videos. This is the subject I've made the most videos on. I think it's like 60, which, I mean, over 2 years isn't too bad. It's not the only thing I talk about. So I don't hang my hat on Star Trek. I could stop talking about Star Trek tomorrow, and I don't think it would affect the channel very much. And that's what I have been worried about, is we're not going to have any Star Trek to talk about. And that's where we're at now. So fast forward to today, we have a cartoon. So we have 3 Star Trek shows. Forget the announced ones. We have 3 Star Trek shows. We have Discovery, we have Picard, we have Lower Decks. None of them are good. None of them are good. Star Trek has constantly been stuck on the launching pad. And we got the answer in an article, and then Alex Kurtzman admitting at Comic-Con that Star Trek was being used as a platform, which is what we've always known, what we've always been saying, and it's been denied until he comes out and says it. We also said that they are pretty vindictive towards a certain sect of the fan base, and they came out and said that. Michael Chabon admitted it in an article. So what the problem people have with us is they say we just go out to watch it to hate it. I don't want to ever hate Star Trek. I don't want to waste my time with it. Now, is roasting it fun? Sure. Is it easy to roast? Is it low-hanging fruit? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not going to just roast it to roast it. And I've proven that by not reviewing every single Lower Decks episode, because it's just not worth it. It's mediocre. It hasn't made me laugh. If some people like it, great. I think it's a waste of time personally. And I'll go review something else or watch something else, or watch old Star Trek, which I've been doing over the last couple of days while I've been crucifying all the action figures. And it's been great. And it is clear, utterly clear, that Patrick Stewart is playing a different role in Picard. And yes, it's been said that there's a TNG Picard, there is a movie Picard, and there is a Picard. And that is true. I think Picard, he's playing Professor X again. I think it sounds a lot like Professor X and Logan, and that's what they do because they don't have an original idea, and that's the fundamental problem. Let's put aside the identity politics for a moment. There's no originality here. When you have a perfect template, you have Star Trek, which is its own unique intellectual property. So unique, it's one of the most parodied intellectual properties anywhere. And that is a good thing. There's parodies of love, there's not really any parodies of hate because there's reverence for this. And that is a sign of a healthy franchise. It had people making fan films, spending ungodly amounts of money and time on fan films that they could never supposedly profit from. And CBS, in their infinite wisdom, decided to shut that down. Now, I don't love everybody involved in the fan film. Is it a community? Whatever it is, somebody could make a movie on that. The drama behind a certain Star Trek fan film, somebody could make a film on, and it would be intriguing because it's crazy. It's utterly nuts. It's a fan film. But there's Star Trek Continues, which is great. And there's other ones that aren't of the quality, but you could tell that there's like all the love and the passion. And they shut that down. So now nobody's making fan films. And if they are, they're all over 40. What you want is 20-somethings making fan films. At least Star Wars still has that. The number has shrunk, but it still has that. Star Trek doesn't. Star Trek's getting old, and we are watching the very last iteration of it. They're going to try. They're going to try again. When this fails, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, they'll try to reboot it. That'll fail again, and that'll fail again because they broke it this time. And once you break something, I said it before, but Humpty Dumpty is a fable for a reason. Once it's broken, you can't put it back together again. Fans have other things to do. We have a lot of other choices out there, even as bad as things are in Hollywood right now. Through the coof, people have rediscovered classic television. They're going checking out old comics. They're checking out old TV shows. And that's a good thing. In a time when Hollywood, Hollywood has always been Hollywood. We've always known how they were, but they were never this obnoxious before. And they have been obnoxious over the last 4 years. And the reason there are people joining this platform every day, there are new channels every single day. There are people who, find their voice and they want to share it with you. And that's good because they're not getting it anywhere else. And I know this is something you all know, but it has to be repeated for posterity, for the one person out there who is just still in denial, who thinks that we are tricking you. We are tricking you with keywords and we're actually have puppeteers behind us who could be Russian or could be something else. That's not the case. That's not the case. We have all spoken our mind and we all saw the same thing. There's nothing wrong with pointing out bullshit. As a matter of fact, it's I would say it's part of the American dream that we can point out bullshit. Goddamn right. And it's part of our right to free speech, right to free expression. And this is the new era that Hollywood is in. They have to freaking deal with it. And if they can't deal with it, then tough shit. Tough shit. This is your new normal, Hollywood. Welcome to it. Sports has been putting up with this forever with sports radio and stuff, and now Hollywood has it. Now, the reason it never took off in broadcast television and in radio, obvious reason. Hollywood would never allow it. They would never allow a show that would talk freely about Hollywood. They used to have magazines. They used to have newspapers, and I'm blanking on the name now, but that would call them out, and they would, it was practically blackmail back in the 50s. And it would always be some paper trying to find out which actor was gay or not and threatening to expose them and all that. So it was around, but then it got squashed because all of these companies were owned by entertainment companies. And now that we have media controlled. So ABC obviously is owned by Disney. So we have media controlled by a few corporations. And now those few corporations are being controlled by essentially two or three. And I would argue Google, Facebook, maybe Twitter, probably just Google and Facebook. Amazon runs everything if they want to. So as that gets smaller, the descent is going to get pushed out. So I'm going to enjoy this time while it lasts. I've always felt like I was pretty safe because we're just talking about entertainment. But of late, if you start talking about Star Trek in a negative way, you will automatically get demonetized on this platform now. Is it because Star Trek advertises on this platform? Probably. It's just a guess. I don't know, but it never used to happen before, and it's happening all the time now, only when I bring up Star Trek. I'm not even talking, when I was talking about salty subjects like California and Cal Exit, which we're going to get into a little bit, and Hollywood, it was fine. Start talking about freaking Star Trek, and I get demonetized. Little weird. This is demonetized. My last live stream was demonetized in 3 minutes. It had to be the Star Trek because last time I talked about Star Trek was the last time I got demonetized. Fine. I don't care. As long as the word gets out there. So we always want to be fair to a point, right? Like I'm never going to attack Alex Kurtzman much. I don't like his writing, and it has gotten a little personal because I know some stuff behind the scenes, and there's not a bunch I'm at liberty to say. But when I first heard that they had even heard of me, they being at Star Trek, I thought bullshit, total bullshit. Listen, I am small on this platform. I've said it before, and you guys know this. There are channels with 1 million subs I've never heard of. So I highly doubt many people have heard of me. But when I heard that, I started waking up to that. And it turns out that a lot of people in Hollywood will find out what's being said about them, no matter how big the channel. Honestly, if you put out a video reviewing The Boys, there's a good chance that somebody from The Boys will be watching your review if they can find it, no matter how big your channel is, because they want to know. And with Star Trek, it seems like they spend so much time trying to cover up how incompetent and bad it is that if they put that much energy into the actual show, it would probably be pretty good. See, Star Trek and Doctor Who have something in common. They were used by their show creators as platforms. Half the audience was obviously offended because half the audience are not evil people from Germany, obviously. They are not ists or phobes of any kind, but that's how they're painted. Now, I have heard the perspective that no, that's not who they're talking about. They're just talking about the extremists, but they don't say that. They just say Orange Man supporters or people on the right. They don't say extreme right, weirdos on BitChute. I mean, they don't. They don't differentiate that. So what they do is they make a broad, blanket, generalized statement, and it, intentional or not, it offends half your fan base. And then when they voice that dissent, they are called all kinds of things. And what they do is they like to conflate you and I with a couple of, sure, there are people on Twitter who are horrendous, and I wouldn't back up anything they said, even if they were criticizing Star Trek, when you get like deeply personal. And no, that doesn't do anyone any good ever. And I believe that most people know that. So what's behind the few people who go out there and start, I don't even want to say, but start running with crazy theories that are detrimental to whatever we're saying, I'm not sure where they're coming from. I'm not sure. I could guess. But we're just talking about a TV show here. But it is to the bigger issue that this TV show, however microscopic, along with Doctor Who, has fed into the divisiveness in the country, in the world, and they've all done it for one reason. And that one reason is TDS. It is rampant through Hollywood. And I guess the best example is when you have Gina Carano. Gina Carano just coming out and saying, hey, we should open back up. You know, if you can protest, you could probably go back to church. You know, nothing she's saying is insane or controversial or partisan. But if we're going to start making, like, we've already seen free speech become a partisan issue. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we talk about The Boys and what Stormfront is based on. But Star Trek has certainly behind the scenes, whoever is involved in this, is it Alex Kurtzman himself, some marketing people? I don't know. People at CBS who aren't even involved in the show? Don't know, don't care. They have taken part in helping this divisiveness and helping the pettiness that has gone on in the community to where it's like, it wouldn't even be a fun place for anyone to go right now. Star Trek is just not, the show isn't fun. The fandom isn't fun. It hasn't been for a while. And what you're left with is just ride or die Star Trek fans. It just has to say Star Trek on it, and they're willing to shill for anything, and they are shills. They are shills. And the only thing they can ever talk about is us or how they're not shills. They can never say how good Star Trek is, though, because it's not. And that's the bottom line. The worst thing anyone can do to Star Trek is have Alex Kurtzman make more of it. And we're going to get a lot more. We're in the midst of the 23 weeks of Star Trek. And today is Star Trek Day. And I'm sure they planned that 2 days ago. I'm sure they saw DC Fandom, whatever it's called. And I think we get part 2 this weekend. And after their complete disaster at Comic-Con, they decided to do this. Now, I haven't checked any of it out, but I want to show you what merchandise they have to offer. They have some, and then we'll say our hellos and stuff. So we've got some Star Trek merchandise available. Did you know that? You know, one of the sure signs that a franchise is healthy is you have a bunch of people making fan films. You have a bunch of channels talking about it on YouTube or Facebook groups, and these channels and Facebook groups or Instagram accounts that follow the show and like it start growing. You know, kind of like Game of Thrones when it was good. But that's not the case with Star Trek. The people who are the fans of the show, their channels go nowhere. They get angry. They start going after us. I've never, ever, ever mentioned any of these channels by name as far as when it comes to them liking the show. I have no problem with them liking the show. Like the show all day long. I don't give a shit. I respect the fact that you like the show. I'm not going to clown you for liking the show. I'll question your taste, but I'm not going to clown you. But they constantly talk about us. And that's why your channel doesn't grow, because nobody wants to hear about us. They want to hear about your show and why you like it. And if you're not connecting with your audience, if you can't convince them why you like it, maybe they just don't like it. Maybe the show's not popular, or maybe they're just not getting your message, or maybe, just maybe, you're not being truthful. I don't know. So here are some of here's the merchandise from Star Trek. Finally got some merch. We've got buttons. That's right, buttons. So these buttons right here are the buttons they give away for free at San Diego Comic-Con when you get your little Comic-Con bag. And, you know, they're cool little buttons. There is audio, by the way. I think somebody was, I can't remember who it was. Somebody was taking that Star Wars girl to task for saying that Lower Decks wasn't made for kids or something like that. Well, I mean, it's not exactly made for mature adults either. So I would think, you know, teenagers to 20-somethings, stoners, whatever. So there was supposed to be a toy line for Lower Decks. That's what Alex Kurtzman said. He said it in the interview on Deadline. It was about 8 months ago. It was it a year ago, where he talked about his 5-year plan. And in that podcast, he said a lot of very interesting things. He said he was more of a Star Wars guy than a Star Trek guy. He said Star Trek was female centric. And he alluded that we were going to be getting a toy line with Lower Decks this summer. Summer's almost over. Haven't seen it, but we got buttons. So we got buttons. And this is the Star Trek Ultimate Guide to Star Trek Days 2020 merch. I'm happy to help sell some of it. There's some Lower Deck buttons. There's a cruise, which I didn't know was merchandise, that you can go on in 2022, because that's how you get a new audience in. There you go. You can get 4 issues of Star Trek the magazine for $30. $30. You get 25% off, though. You get a shirt with the real captain up front. At least they know who the real captain is when they want to sell shit, right? And there's a question mark right there. A Star Trek Day shirt that looks like it was made on Teespring. Of course, it's a women's shirt, which is fine. I don't care. A Star Trek Day circle. I don't know what they're selling there. You can get jackets for $330. That don't even look that great, to be honest with you. What's this? $249 for the Resican flute. You get the Discovery Emperor Georgiou's Emperor Georgiou's Terran Empire dagger letter opener for $19.50. These are all like Etsy products, by the way. You get a smartphone card holder. $1 flash sale. You get a Diamond Comics distributors statue for $90. And you get a mouse pad for $15. Or you can play a game for free online. You can get some digital trading cards. Van & Watches gray and white, $65 with 24% off using code Star Trek Day 24. Celebrating 40 years. There's a book. And that's it. That's your Star Trek merchandise. Man, this franchise is on fire. We got 3 shows out. We don't know what the ratings are for any of them. We're going to find out. Star Trek Discovery is going to be on, what is it? The 24th of this month. I might re-review it. What do you think? Should I re-review it? It's on at, what is it? Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Pacific time. So, yeah. Let's see who's here. We got Moods of Madness. We got Battle Him 63, Drew L, Fat Freddy's Cat, 200 Watt Studio, Adrienne G. Oh boy, Yori Boulderjic, Red Pill Italics. I think it's just supposed to say Red Pill Addicts. Kronos. We got Ernesto. We've got Grandpappy Fisk. We got Selwyn. We've got Flower Tower. We've got Crispy Critters, IK 1906, and Rusty Shackford. What is up, everyone? Thanks for being here. Who are the wrenches today? We got Lady Gravemasters in the background somewhere. And we've got Lori Wilson. Hi, Lori. How are you doing? Chris Persia's here. Eric K's probably lurking around somewhere. So I'm going to answer a couple of the super chats from earlier on. But I really want to know, like, it's Star Trek Day. It is Star Trek Day, and it's nothing. It's nothing because Star Trek is a platform. It's a platform for Alex Kurtzman's politics. And the very interesting thing that was, I don't know how much I want to get into this. But, you know, when there's a time when you've criticized something for long enough, and I think I'm getting close to that with Star Trek, but not quite. I am definitely going to do season 3. If there's a season 4 Discovery, and honestly, I don't care, I could review it. I'll have to see at that point, though. I'm going to definitely take a wait and see, because there's just a point where you go, this thing is dead, and I'm just kicking a fucking dead horse. Now, it is fun to roast because it is that horrifically bad. So that's the reason I watch it. I watch it for the same reason Rags and Mahler watched Batgirl, because it's bad in a hilarious way. The writing is so, Star Trek was supposed to be science-based, and it is soap opera based now. That's all it is. And it's not a fun show. It's not a smart show. It's a dumb show. It is a dumb show made by people who don't really, they might like the idea of Star Trek, but they don't really like Star Trek. And it shows. It shows. Robert Meyer Burnett put it great in one of his live streams. He said, there's, Hollywood, there's people who are inside a franchise and outside a franchise. And there's all different levels of fans within the Star Trek fandom. There are people who just like Star Trek and nothing else, or that's their main thing. They just obsess over Star Trek. I like to obsess over like 4 or 5 things, not just one thing. But that's cool. That's fine. And then there's your casual fans, up to the people who just like the 80s movies. You're all welcome. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But it's not a fan base that's growing. We haven't seen any numbers with this show ever, and official. But when we see anything related to it, any metric that we can see on YouTube or anywhere else, it shows that what little interest there is dies off as the show goes on. People don't even want to finish it. If Star Trek was a success, would they be putting it out for free on the network? The answer is no. They probably should have put it on the network in the first place. That's probably their biggest mistake. Putting it behind the paywall, because look, there's CW superheroes. So there probably would have been an audience, maybe big. I don't know. I don't know if it would have made it on CBS though. Supergirl didn't make it on CBS. But it certainly seems like they are trying to hide stuff all the time. And they could shut us up immediately by showing us numbers, and they couldn't lie about it. They'd have to tell the truth. That's why they won't show us any numbers. But as far as, there's my normal universal paranoia that I always have. Because when you create content, no matter how big your channel is, there's people who aren't going to like you, and that's fine. That's cool. But sometimes these people want to take your platform away. They would love nothing better than to take your platform away. I would never want to do that to somebody, but I understand that people would want to do it to me or to any of my friends. And that's one thing you have to deal with. It's not that difficult, really. You mostly ignore it. They tend to pop up now and then they go away because it never works. It never works because you're trying to say somebody is wrong about their opinion. I see Will Wheaton in there. So let's get to the a few of these super chats from the first one. I can't wait for more virtue signaling and torture porn from Klutzman and Company. Watch Star Trek Continues by Vic Mignogna. Folks, it's free and better, says Wes Moody's webcast. Thank you, Wes Moody. Good to see you. I was watching you with Culture Casino the other day. Good job. Good job. Yeah. It's the vindictiveness permeates through this show. Whatever there were, I'll never understand how Alex Kurtzman got a job. He was okay at some stuff, but to be given this franchise, it was just his, because he wrote for a Jar Jar Abrams. So he got it completely on Jar Jar Abrams' coattails. I don't know how he gets work after this. but he probably will. That's the thing, is he probably will. As long as it's away from Star Trek. But as far as the life, I think the Star Trek has an expiration date. I don't think it can last much longer than a couple of years. They are obviously sinking money in this thing and not making any money back. I don't know how much longer they can do that. But they can certainly sell investors on, hey, this is a 50-plus-year-old franchise. It's got a huge fan base. It's one of the top 3 franchises. We can make this work. We can do it. All we need is the next show will be it. The next show will be the hit. And I got to admit, CBS has been pretty patient with this. But I think it's because it's the only thing they have. Andrew Sabini for $5 says, rest in peace to one of the greatest shows ever put on the air. Go Team Venture. God damn it. Yeah, I was going to make a video and I couldn't. I was too bummed, man. I don't know what to say. And the biggest bummer is it's been canceled for a while. Jackson Public just made it public. Jackson Public made it public recently. So the chances of us saving the show are gone because the show's been canceled for months. Now, maybe he doesn't have the rights. I don't know, but I would think you could crowdfund Venture Brothers in a minute, in a hot minute. You get my money. It's got a crazy, rabid fan base that could pay for a final season or a final final season. Just, you know what, Jackson Public, give us a price. Give us a number. What do you need? What do you need? We will crowdfund it. It is an immensely popular show, and you left us hanging on season 7. Jesus. Jonathan King for $4.99. Go Team Venture. At least the SJWs didn't get their hands on it. Yep. It was, even when it came out in 2018, it was free of that shit. Not a very political correct show. Just, back in the good old days when they just wanted to entertain us and didn't want to teach us a lesson. Alex Kurtzman would be the last person I would need to learn very much from, unless how to fail perfectly. Then I would listen to him. Hail chat. Anyone getting their hopes up for Dune? Says Fear of FEMA for $2. I saw something that looked kind of fuzzy, and it looked a lot like a trailer for that film. And it looked okay. We'll see. I hope it's great. I hope it's the next great thing. Will it be woke? I think you need to assume that everything will be right now. What's all this hashtag white strike stuff? Says Undercover Trooper for £1.99. I have no idea. I've been putting up action figures. Is it, let me guess. So it's the words white and strike. So what, white people should strike? No. I mean, listen. Things are stupid as hell right now, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit. And the reason they're stupid as hell is because, obviously, we've been on lockdown. Our mainstream media has been peddling us fear. Our entertainment has been a platform, and I mean everything, has been a platform for the last 3 or 4 years, all with the same goal, lockstep. Nobody agrees on this much stuff, ever. But they certainly do. And it's ruined Star Trek, it's ruined Star Wars, and it's ruined Doctor Who. And, okay, going back to what I have seen as far as, listen, there's trolls on Twitter, there's trolls everywhere. But what I've seen from Star Trek recently, it seems like they're more desperate now than ever. They are really desperate to make this thing work. Now, but it's been around now for a couple of years. So either they are making money that I am unaware of. Maybe the Star Trek is cheaper than what it's reported. But I mean, Hollywood Reporter and Deadline have reported that Discovery and Picard cost upwards of $8 to $10 million per episode. And that's what I heard from a friend of mine who I just spoke with today, who works in one of those buildings owned by Viacom, Paramount, or CBS. And they are so they're stuck with Kurtzman, and they need to make it work. And the reason, I think it's just common sense. You can't just shut down a TV show. You can't just turn shit around on a dime. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's too expensive. It is easier for them to stick with what they've got and go from there. What doesn't make sense to me is why they don't clear out that writer's room and bring in a new writer's room. But I have a theory. Because the writer's room isn't filled with white dudes. So you can't just fire them. It would look real bad. So they'd rather just sacrifice Star Trek rather than find, I don't know, if you need to find a woman, I'm sure there's a lot of competent women who can write Star Trek. They just haven't found them yet. As a matter of fact, I know there is, because there has been in the past. So, yeah. And by the way, our critics have been running with the same old shit. I ended up on a white supremacist list when I started getting critical of comics. And when Bullstrick and I were being critical of Doctor Who, we ended up on Reddit on some thread. And then Doomcock and I ended up again on Reddit after Watchmen. I'm used to this shit. It's fine. None of them really watch the live streams or the reviews. They get a lot of things wrong, which, again, it's part of the game. But when it gets ramped up to the level I've seen it, it's interesting. Grandpappy Fisk for $5. Current media boasts about having all different kinds of diversity of race, gender, orientation, etc., as long as they all think the right way. Exactly. As long as that race, gender, or orientation thinks the same way we do, they're fine. But when it's Gina Carano, and listen, Disney has to be consistent about this. They haven't been in the past, but we'll see what happens. I'm guessing Cara Dune meets an untimely end in Mandalorian season 2. I hope not, because now she's my favorite character. Yes, simping for Gina Carano. Vigilante Williamson for $5. Hail, Gary. More Cal exit money. Sorry about the Venture Brothers. Never let them call you an ist. You are an ally to all people. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's fine. It really is. At this point, all you have to do is come on over, find out for yourself. The thing is, some of these critics, one of them used to be a friend, and it's fine. We can disagree on stuff. If we, like, for example, if there are, say, 4chan rumors out there, rumors I didn't report on, by the way, rumors I won't report on because I don't report on stuff from 4chan or Reddit or anything. I generally report on stuff other people report on. So if other people bring up the rumors, I'll bring up the rumors. That's fine. But I generally don't believe any of it, and haven't believed any of it, because a lot of it has been wrong. Some have been right, some have been spot on, and some haven't. But I make sure to talk to somebody first if I can. If not, then I'll just go, I'll make it a theory or something, but listen, I'm not a news agency, never will be one. I will just give you my opinion mostly on what's already happened. But with those rumors, and you know what? Other channels can run with them. They can do whatever the hell they want, and I will not criticize them for it. And I've actually encouraged them to do it. If you need content, it's perfectly okay to talk about rumors, because we're just fans. I've said this before, but if you read a 4chan rumor and you went to the comic shop, you'd talk about it, right? All right. So it's no different here. As long as you say, hey, it's a rumor I read on 4chan, then you're fine. You're absolutely fine. You're no different than any other fan. You're no different from me. When I used to read stuff and Reddit about Game of Thrones, I'd talk about it to other people. It's no different at all. You don't have some responsibility You can talk about a rumor, give your opinion on it, and call it a day. You're not damaging anything. See, if Star Trek was good, it wouldn't matter what I said about it. It would be good. You would like it. And you would think that I was just an a-hole. And that's fine. A lot of people do, but Star Trek isn't good. It's objectively bad, horrifically bad. So, I mean, and we'll talk about The Boys in a second. I've got a major criticism about The Boys that people are probably not going to like. But and hopefully they don't go in this direction. So it's a theory right now. But as far as the rumors, so we're not hurting Star Trek. We don't hurt Star Trek. I don't hurt Doctor Who. If Doctor Who was good, nobody would listen to me. It's that simple. You know what? You want to turn the fan base around. Try to please as many of them as you can. You can't please everybody. And try to write a good story. That will shut pretty much everybody up. For the most part. But again, it's something you're going to have to deal with. You got to take the good with the bad, because they certainly love it when we do positive reviews and we give them all that free advertising on our Twitter, our Twitter pages, our Facebook pages, or on our YouTube channels. They love the hell out of it. And that's why they focus so much on social media. They just didn't really think about the bad side of it. And they think they can quiet it down, and you just can't. You can't. YouTube gets a lot of criticism, but if you really look at it, they allow a lot of criticism on this platform. They do. I will knock on wood. I don't ever feel messed with by this platform. I usually figure my failures are my failures. They don't communicate. We're the crap, and they do stuff, but I think it's just changing the whole platform. I don't ever take it personally. Vigilante Williamson, thank you again for the $5 super chat. Jaeger Bomb for $5. I know it should be painfully apparent on why we 40K fans should fear Marvel doing the comic stories for the franchise, but could you elaborate more? Sure. They're going to have SJWs write your 40K stories in Marvel Comics. So they will make them SJW 40K stories. And if you don't think so, they had a socialist write G.I. Joe. I will repeat that. They had a socialist, an anti-military, anti-America socialist write G.I. Joe. Now, if you wanted to have that socialist writer go write something that's more, applicable to that person, G.I. Joe, I'm not saying you have to be you kind of do have to be kind of a flag waving patriot to write a good G.I. Joe story. You at least have to have some respect for the military, and most importantly, to the franchise of G.I. Joe. And I can't see a ride or die socialist liking G.I. Joe. They might have when they were kids, and then they went to their women's studies class and socialist study, whatever the fuck. Kicked out of 3 high schools, and they wouldn't like G.I. Joe anymore. They would see that as a tool of imperialism. But Jaeger Bomb, yes, it's really real simple answer. SJWs work at Marvel. SJWs will write your 40K Warhammer book. Now, I could be wrong. Not every single book at Marvel is full on SJW. So, some books they are producing nowadays are just normal superhero books. The problem is, I can't separate the art from the artist anymore at Marvel, unfortunately. The Gesture of Sin for £2. Robot voice Gary, relation of Doomcock confirmed? Yes. Yes. Nobody's ever seen me and Doomcock in the same place except for all our live streams. All right. No good for 2 Canadian pesos Canadian pesos says headphone warning. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I lost my train of thought there. All right, let's go to Gina Carano. Gina Carano, who if I was going to stay in California, I think she should run for governor. But she's obviously overqualified to be a California politician because she practices this thing called common sense. You know, that alt-right dog whistle common sense? Right up there with good customer service, right up there with wanting to go to work. Did you know wanting to go to work is racist? And again, to connect this all to Star Trek, the Alex Kurtzman and Heather Caden, Akiva Goldsman, Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, they are George Lucas. They are all for what's going on right now. They actually think that the rioting and looting is justified. And in a lot of cases, they are supporting it financially, which is allowing these people to riot and loot with impunity for days on end because, as the president said, a lot of stupid rich people are supporting this. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not paying attention right now to the Star Trek Day festivities, but I'm sure they're going to bring up BLM. Now, I'm talking about the organization, not talking about individuals out there who, of course, I respect and are important to this country, as is everyone. This country does need everyone. I don't want, except for maybe some crazy white folk from Portland, I would say we need everyone in this country, obviously. But the organization BLM has been known to be Marxist and funnel money to bail people out who are known criminals, hardened criminals in some cases, and in some cases, the worst kind of criminal, if you know what I'm saying. And they're out there running around with Greg Rucka's son, running around with John Malkovich's son, and they are destroying businesses in America. So Greg Rucka supports this. His son goes out, destroys a business, and comic shops have been looted and destroyed. And not to my surprise at all, some of the comic shops have said they deserved it. And if you say you deserved it, then you did. You simply did. Not going to feel sorry for you. But I feel bad for the ones who don't feel they deserved it, who feel like, I just want to sell funny books. You bring a lot of joy into the world, especially selling the older comics, selling comic books, getting kids to read. It's a damn good job. And seeing that torn down, or anybody's business torn down, is tragic. And it's something, I wanted to keep in mind when I was making my videos on Mel's Salon and our Cal Exit. I made it a point, and I was going to put the video in, and I didn't. I had my reasons for it, but there was I watched a bunch of rioting video, and it was freaking awful. And some of the things that were said, you're not hearing on the mainstream media, of course. You're not hearing because it was sent to me. I said, I'm sure people are saying this, but I haven't heard it. Well, somebody sent it to me, and of course it was from Oakland. They were saying things like death to America. So I don't think it's a secret anymore. And it's not a secret to anybody, yet it's still getting supported by all of these people. That's why it's good when we do have, and not all movie stars are bad, but you really need to start speaking up and keeping your own in check. Because people are really pissed at Hollywood right now. Really mad at Hollywood. And Hollywood is their reckoning will be swift, and it will be cold. I think people have found out they can live without entertainment. You know how easy it was for me to give up football? Like, I lived and breathed the Chargers my entire life. And when they moved, gave up the NFL forever. Haven't watched a second of it since, and I don't miss it at all. At all. You get over it. You find other things to do. Hollywood is going to have the same experience that sports is. The Mandalorian star Gina Carano issues call to open up your businesses and churches as U.S. enters 6 months of lockdowns. The Mandalorian star Gina Carano has issued a call for businesses and churches to reopen in order to support the many Americans suffering from the negative side effects of the ongoing COOF and related lockdowns. On September 5th, Carano called on business owners and religious leaders to open up your businesses and churches and whatever regulations you want to use with whatever regulations you want to, because that is your right, and criticize the narratives that COOF knows the difference between a protest, praise, and worship. And there's the tweet there. It was a fantastic tweet. And of course, she was destroyed by the typical morons on Twitter. And, you know, Twitter doesn't bother me anymore. I don't go there anymore. It's just, I don't take it seriously. It's not the world. It's ridiculous. I'm happy to see that it's starting to lose its power and influence because they went too hard in the paint for all the craziness and the divisiveness. And I'm seeing people flood on over the Parler or go over to places or just not go on it at all. And I mainly use it to communicate with people. And that's it. As the United States enters its 6th month of ongoing lockdown procedures, the actress observed that the world is open, but no one is allowed to work. Obviously, working is your right as an American. Working is a right you as an American have, Carano asserted. It gives us purpose, focus, pride, and most importantly, a way to support the ones we love. Carano also pointed out to the negative psychological side effects the ongoing lockdowns have had on Americans, and noted that people are dropping like flies from depression, suicide, overdoses, and murder. Enough already, she said. I brought this up early on in the COOF because I have, if you're new to the channel, you're not going to know. I have been confined for long periods of time. I have been to prison, and it is something you mentally are not prepared for. Especially, I mean, you guys don't have it as bad as I did, but you know, the average free American is not used to being told much of anything. That's what's great about this country. And remember, this is a country where most of us will stop at a 4-way stop in the middle of nowhere. And it's still that case, despite all the black pilling that's going on out there and people talking about civil wars, and that's a bunch of garbage. All right. It is a finite number of people running around causing damage, and the police who could stop it in a minute, or the politicians who could stop it in a minute, are keeping the police from stopping it because they want it to continue. They are being financed by a lot of dumb rich people. Otherwise, it would have been over. Nobody could afford to riot, go out for this long. Remember the one rioter who said they wanted to get paid? Kind of think they already are. But Gina's right, of course, that being confined, not being able to go to work, not being able to feel that sense of accomplishment every day, which is important. It's ingrained in our DNA. That will get a person down, and they want you down. The mainstream media, the system, they want you down. Hollywood wants you down. They don't want to see anybody happy. That's why they have been writing the narratives they have. That's why the mainstream media has run with constant cockamamie stories about the Orange Man. I mean, we're talking about a reality TV show host and a billionaire. We're not talking about an evil genius or anything like that. We're just talking about a guy who just happens to be president that you don't like, and you need to fucking get over it. But they're not. They're clearly not going to get over it now. They're not going to get over it a couple of years from now. This came to a head at the worst possible time. And it is time to open stuff up. Absolutely. You know, there's certain things I cannot say on this platform. But I would agree with Gina there that if your livelihood is dependent on this, you got to open back up, because it's going to take a certain amount of time for people to feel comfortable to go out right now. Things are open in San Diego, and it's not, you know, the traffic is light, but there's not a lot going on because people are still believing or, that they're going to friggin' die if they go outside. You're not. Chances are you're not. Unless, of course, it's something other than that. The chances are very slim if you're not at risk. If you're at risk, different story. Please don't take any unnecessary risks. Still be responsible. Still practice social distancing. Wear a mask if a business asks to do that because that's the business right to do. I'm not going to worry too much about that. But it's going to take a while to get things going, and we need to get it going now because things don't just start on a dime. Of course, Gina was criticized. She was called a bootlicker, a cop lover, a Republican. Is common sense a partisan issue? Are you sure you want to go down that road? Because if you do, so be it. So be it. Common sense is now a partisan issue. Cara Dune is now my favorite character on The Mandalorian. And I will watch the show and root for her. I definitely, Gina Carano has said in the past, she's said Black Lives Matter. And of course, aside from the organization, of course they do. And I don't have a problem with that statement. I have a problem with the organization, the political organization that's been feeding one particular party. And it has, it's destroyed sports. It's destroying they're using it to destroy. Another organization is using that organization to destroy our country, our livelihood, where my kids live. And now, if you criticize Star Trek or Star Wars or comic books, well, you'll get called these things that we have been called before. It's got a whole different meaning now, though. Now, I have to do things like tell my wife to be careful when she goes out. That's not shit I used to do. My wife is a careful person, but I have to tell her to be careful to go out now. You never fucking know. You never know. And it's nice to see people call this shit out. My God, it's fucking refreshing. We still got Ricky Gervais out there who calls this shit out once in a while, and we're seeing more and more people do it. Even we're starting to see Hollywood even call out its own elitism. Now, I'm sure there are people who are there who have always seen the utter. Listen, I wouldn't mind the utter decadence of Hollywood if they weren't such goddamn hypocrites all the time. Like old school Hollywood, when Dean Martin was on every TV. I mean, this is going way back in the 70s. Drinking and smoking on every TV special, and hey man, giving each other shit, and they were out boozing and doing a bunch of blow and hookers. Like, fine. That's the Hollywood I miss. I really miss that Hollywood. I don't like the Hollywood who all of a sudden thinks they should think, because they really shouldn't. They really shouldn't. The adult pretenders out there, and that's what I'm going to call them forever, because that's what they are. They pretend for a living. You are about the most useless thing on the planet. When it comes down to it, if the great equalizing meteor came down and there was an electromagnetic pulse and it knocked out all our power and we were back to the 1800s, or even worse, the Stone Age, the last thing we would need is an actor. We can have somebody pretend on their own time. We need somebody who can, rebuild society, rebuild the power grid, start a fire. We don't need a pretender. You have every right to spout out what you think. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm just going to call you on it. And you're not the most qualified. The thing is, when you're actually financing the division, that's where I start to have a real problem with it. And, it's affected all of us. Not just, it's affected me. It's affected my wife's business, but I know I'm talking to people who've lost their jobs. I might be talking to somebody who worked at a business that got burnt down. I never know. I never know. And Gina is getting destroyed for this. Now, it's Twitter, so who cares? And she's getting enough praise to where it gives me a little hope. So the former MMA actress previously garnered, I think she's just an MMA fighter, right? And an actress, previously garnered attention on social media after she was accused of ism for merely posting a famous historical photo that showed a German citizen refusing to give the Nazi salute due to the photo's depiction of the Yahtzees. I said Nazis already, fuck it. Carano refused to capitulate to the mob and push back against the wave of harassment being directed towards her by critical race and social justice theorists by asserting that these people are not educators. They are cowards and bullies. They are cowards. I don't know if they can be bullies. I mean, can you really bully somebody digitally? I guess. I mean, like, because all you have to do is turn it off. They're not bullies. I'll give you an example. A lot of people have been critical of yours truly, Mecca, Tom, Doomcock, about Star Trek. Well, I walked around Star Trek about almost a year ago around this time. I walked around Star Trek Las Vegas freely for all days. I went there. I was looking for one. The shills on YouTube, I only saw a couple of them there. The other two weren't there. Thought they were big Star Trek fans. Guess not. So I was walking around, and one of them, who's been super critical to me, shook my hand and told me they loved my stuff. Nobody said shit to me ever, like throughout the whole thing. The worst thing someone said was, I really love your stuff, but I disagree with you on Discovery, which wasn't a bad thing at all. I had a very positive experience with a lot of people at that con. It was more fun talking to them than actually going to the con. There was nothing there, actually. There was $60, $100 autographs. Got to meet Shatner for like a nanosecond that I paid too much money for, but Mrs. Nerdrotic did get a picture with Shatner on the bridge of the Enterprise, or on a bridge of the Enterprise, which was fucking awesome. So they had plenty of opportunities to come up and say something to our faces, and they didn't. Not a single person. Walked around Comic-Con. Nobody said anything. So, yeah, they're cowards. They're just cowards, Gina. But I agree with you. Now, we also have this was, let me pull this up. Bradley Cooper, I think Jeremy did a video on this. Oh, there's an STD3 trailer. Star Trek teases. We're going to find out how the Federation collapsed. Yeah, I figured as much. But what is it? There we go, right here. Bradley Cooper, who I am sensing might once in a while toe the Hollywood line because he has to. But when I see stuff like this, again, I get encouraged. Bradley Cooper says the Oscars are utterly meaningless. And we know that. We've known for quite some time, especially because they have gotten so political. Now, let's see if he brings that up. Now, I have to admit, I did like A Star Is Born. I did like the movie. I thought I was going to hate it. I went and saw it with Mrs. Nerdrotic. She likes the Lady Gaga. I call her Lady Gaga. And I got to admit, Lady Gaga was pretty good in it. Bradley Cooper has opened up about his experiences during award seasons with A Star Is Born, admitting that he found the pursuit of accolades a real test. Cooper said as much during a recent in-depth conversation he had with Hamilton actor Anthony Ramos. Ramos, who also just so happened to be featured in A Star Is Born 2, started his discussion by noting how during his time it has become so easy to make it about individual people. This is completely at odds with the attitude during production, though. On set, you have your call sheet. Even though you have your leads, it's a team effort. The grips, the directors of photography, the movie is not happening without them. Everyone is a star of that movie. Yeah, but you're the star, Bradley. Come on. For whatever reason, we choose to single people. Well, I mean, like, they have the technical awards, but I think they need a best grip award, don't you? For whatever reason, we choose to single people out at a certain time of year. And if you're ever asked to be part of any of those events, it can be very, very easy for you, meaning me, to think it's about me. I'm the only one here for my cast. It's only me. Well, that's what most of you think, honestly. I mean, I'm glad you're saying it. Bradley Cooper, who I like. I remember him from Alias. And yeah, Cooper, who was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay categories for A Star is Born, then became candid about his own struggles during the award season push for his acclaimed romantic drama. The award season stuff is a real test, he says. It sets you up to foster that mentality. It's quite a thing to work through, and it's completely devoid of artistic creation. It's not why you sacrifice everything to create art, and yet you spend so much time being a part of it if you're in it. In quotes, lucky enough to be a part of it. That's good. And, you know, the one thing I probably did like about A Star is Born is that, no crazy identity politics either. It was just a story. However, Cooper says that he did learn some valuable lessons from his experience, and that the other 3 occasions that he was nominated for his performance in Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, and American Sniper. It's ultimately a great thing, but it really does make you face ego, vanity, insecurity. It's very interesting and utterly meaningless. Yes, it is. But it's also more political than anything else. That's what makes it the most meaningless thing. They always sidestep that one. But it's nice to hear at least a slight acknowledgement that the Oscars are shit. And, oh, God, I wonder what they're going to be like this year. Remember when we used to look forward to the Oscars? I used to. The gay Super Bowl, that's what they used to call it. The last one that I enjoyed was when Lord of the Rings walked away with 12 Oscars. That's right. And deserved it. I don't care about anything else after that. All right, let's get some super chats here. Space Monkey 0899 for $3.99. Xbox Series S is $299. Is that true? Is that true? Well, good for the Xbox users. I will probably not be buying one. No, I won't. Unless my kid really wants one, but I don't think he does. He's a PC gamer, my kid. He likes the Steam. Scottish Nerd, thank you for the microphone for £1.49. I appreciate it. Nicholas Horton for $5. Gary, you sounded like a Cyberman. I did. I went back and listened. I might use some of that audio. I don't know what caused it. I did a quick update on my soundboard, and that seemed to fix it. Louis the Plank for $5. Hail, Gary. I started my own bag and board project using the Mylar bags and boards you recommended. The nostalgia has been great. Awesome. Yes, I do a live stream with Az every other Tuesday. So a week from today, we will be doing bagging, boarding, and chatting. And it's a good time. It's a good time. So Az and I just talk about comics. We bag and board. I like to use my lights. They make your comics look shiny and new. Larry, thank you for the $1.99 microphone. Travis for $2. You are the most powerful boomer ever made. I'm a Gen Xer who's got Swiss cheese for a brain because I did a lot of drugs. But honestly, Travis, yeah, maybe, I mean, I guess it is kind of boomer not to check your stuff for updates before you go live. I should do that. And I'm going to have to do that every time now because, yeah. So I used to be, don't shame me for this. I used to be a Mac guy because I edited and I'm an artist and I like to use Photoshop. So I always thought they were better on Mac. Mac sucks now. I don't want anything to do with it. So I'm back on PC and I'm not used to they changed what the hell was that? Something just fell in the back. One of my panels just fell down. I'll check that later. Where was I? Yeah. So I'm not used to settings changing just because you turned your computer back on. Little cheddar to bribe you to upload the first stream to Nerdrotic Live. RIP Doctor Who. I'll do it. You guys want me to do it? Yeah, I'll make it part of this one. No problem. No shame in my game, buddy. Thanks, Jake D. Fuck, I don't care. I figure I don't know how many live streams I've done. Hundreds. You're going to fuck up, man. You're going to fuck up. Don't shit on Shat. Hashtag don't shit on Shat, says Undercover Trooper for £1.99. Goddamn right. Do not shit on Shatner. Don't do it. Nettled Nerds for $10. Hey, oh, Gary, glad I'm able to support your channel again. Great men are forged in fire. Oh, it is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. The War Doctor. Goddamn right. And I'm one of the lesser men. And yeah, let's talk about some Doctor Who. Want to talk about some Doctor Who? I want to talk about some Doctor Who. So my friend Noel from TARDIS Zone and Problem Being is the one who joins him on live streams. They're good friends. They've been around. They've had rumors before. I've had rumors before. And some happen, some don't. That's the way rumors go. Now, the only Doctor Who rumor I've only run with two. One was the Doctor was originally going to be a female, and I had known that for a long, long time. And the reason I know that is I know a person who works in and around Doctor Who, but not directly for Doctor Who, in and around the area of Doctor Who. We'll just say that. That's a lot of places. It's a lot of things, so I'm not too worried. And that person told me that because that person was upset. That person was pissed. Now, the person I speak to wasn't as critical of Jodie as I was telling me to give Jodie a chance, boo. But that person also saw pretty early that Jodie wasn't working. So I ran with that rumor, turned out to be right. Great. Awesome. I didn't want it to be right. I wanted it to be wrong. I to this day, I wanted to be wrong. They destroyed Doctor Who in a montage, in a voiceover montage. They took apart a show that millions have enjoyed for decades in a single hour. It was done, and there's no fixing it. Just like with Star Trek, but this is worse. This is much worse. What happened to Doctor Who was worse than The Last Jedi, was worse than freaking SJW Marvel. It was the worst thing to happen to a franchise, period. So I got the other rumor a little while later that Jodie and Chibnall will be leaving after Series 13. This was prior to the coof getting really bad. We've been locked down. So here's what we know. Doctor Who has been delayed. And it's been delayed because of the coof restrictions in Cardiff. I don't know if they've adjusted these coof restrictions. I don't know if they have. I know they haven't started shooting, but they have another episode left. So the rumor, and this is from I believe it's from Noel. I don't know if he's just reporting on it or if it's just from him. Not sure. Is that season 13 has been canceled. I don't know if I believe that rumor. I think we're still going to get a Series 13. They've commissioned it. They would have to, if they canceled it, that means they canceled the show. They straight up canceled the show. I don't think they're going to cancel the show. They're not there yet. I think what they'll do is get rid of Jodie, give it another shot, because they just signed that deal with HBO Max. They also have other licensing deals. So I believe the show will continue. I believe that Jodie will be there for Series 13. I believe the ratings will fucking suck. Absolutely suck. Now, I have some theories. We haven't heard who the other companion is going to be. I can't imagine that they're just going to have the Doctor and Yaz. I mean, they just can't. So I could see something like Captain Jack popping in for half a season, They're them pulling out all the stops to help Jody. That's what I can see. That's just my theory, though. That's just a theory that they're going to have Captain Jack all over the place, and he'll be the third kind of companion. I could be wrong, but it's just a theory, so it doesn't matter. But the Doctor and Yaz, man. He reported, okay, so hang on. Let me get my chat to stop here so I can read that. He reported a rumor that the Doctor has been replaced during, the special. Okay. I thought he said series 13, or maybe he said that about somebody else. I was listening to the live stream. So there'll be a regeneration at the Christmas special. The rumor is Tim Davey threatened to axe the show if they don't fix it. Gotcha. Okay, so that's the rumor. Tim Davey, who is new head of BBC or a head of BBC, threatened to axe the show if they don't fix it. That I could see. Absolutely. I think any normal person would say that. The problem is, before that, what we heard was editorially, we were completely happy with Doctor Who. And the last thing I heard from my guy, I ran what Noel said by him, haven't heard anything. So the last thing I heard was they were happy with Jodie. Like, they were totally happy. They're just not happy about the ratings. There's not much they can do about it, but they think we're just a bunch of idiots. That's basically it. They think the fans are a bunch of fucking idiots. That is their attitude. They definitely don't like the critics of the show. And some of them might think we had something to do with this, but no, you just put out a bad show. Our reviews don't make a difference at all. People just, what they do is they'll listen to our review, maybe go check it out, and then they'll see it's a really bad show. And that's it. Maybe some people won't bother, but you weren't really, if people were listening to my reviews and they didn't bother, think about this. If they had bothered and seen it, they'd still stop watching it because it sucks. So the rumor is Jodie could possibly regenerate this Christmas special, and they've shot the scene. I don't know about that. I would love it. Oh, that'd be fucking awesome. That'd be great. I don't know, though. I'll have to wait and see if I hear from my guy. Don't want to doubt Noel. Maybe something has changed drastically. Maybe there's... See, the only way I could believe that happened if they have a new regime at the BBC. Now, I haven't been paying a lot of attention lately. My mind has been on other things. But if that is the case, where we got some new blood in there, right? And they want to kind of right the ship, then shit could change. That would be great. Oh my God, I'd be all for it. Absolutely all for it. So if they shot a regeneration scene, then they would have to have a new Doctor. And I don't think they're going to keep that secret. So problem being, while you're in the chat, what's the word on that? Is how do you feel about the regeneration thing in the Christmas special? Because I don't think they would be quiet about having a Doctor. That's just me. I could be wrong. But yeah, and again, I have passed all this. I sent the live stream to my friend for my friend to watch. I have not heard back. So, and they might not know anything because that person is not in the writer's room. They are not, they're not in production meetings. She's going to regen. Well, okay. The one thing you guys watched I know you all watched all my videos and every single one of my live streams, every second of it. I know you have. So sorry for the repeated information, but you heard my friend's theory on all this was the protest changed everything. Absolutely everything. And the fact that she's Dr. Karen, she straight up got a Karen haircut. I was looking at here. Let me pull up a tweet. Let me pull this up. Hang on. This is funny. Oh my goodness. Hang on. Where was it? It was from the Fandom Menace tweeted this out. There it is. Oh my God. What are you tweeting out, dude? I can't show that. Where's the Karen thing? Did I miss it? Oh, where'd it go? Oh, maybe I looked at the wrong thing. Somebody put up this horrific picture of a Karen. There it is. It looks like Jodie Whittaker. Here we go. That's there's the doctor's regeneration. We got some exclusive images here at Nerdrotic of the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, who we will lovingly call Dr. Karen's regeneration. Oh my God. That's great. By the way, follow the Fandom Menace on Twitter. Good dude. That was mean. I know. I'm a terrible person. I am. I'll just, next time I do my steps, I'll handle some business. So as far as the rumor of there is somebody at the BBC saying, get your shit in order or you're gone, I completely want to believe that, and I could believe that. If there's some new blood in there and they watched the last 2 seasons, fuck the seasons, you just watch the ratings. Any normal TV show that was on a broadcast network whose ratings are there for everyone to see, and that matters. So I know, of course, it's not like American television where if the ratings went down, that means they'd be losing their ad dollars, which would affect the show and get it axed. It's different in the UK because, of course, you can fleece your own population for a stupid license fee and extort them. But image matters. It's television. So if there's ratings that are sinking, and that's all people are going to talk. You know what? Every time you bring up Doctor Who now, it's, those ratings. Oh, those ratings. Oh my God. And it's their worst nightmare, by the way. It's their absolute worst nightmare because we were right. And they really didn't want us to be right. Oh, that was about the last thing they wanted us to be is right. But we were right. The Doctor is a dude. The Doctor's been a dude for decades, and you can't just make him not a dude and expect it to be okay. And your response is to call all of or the audience who doesn't like it a bunch of ists and phobes, a bunch of sexists, when they just want their guy a guy. That's it. We don't want all characters to be dudes. Because that's what a sexist would be. We want one character. Well, 2. I don't think James Bond should be a dude either. Girl either. Sorry. James Bond. Maybe he won't be a dude. And I don't want Spider-Man to be a chick. I just don't. There's Spider-Girl. There's Spider-Woman. Oh my God, there's Spider-Girl and Spider-Woman and Spider-Gwen. And there's plenty. There's plenty. But they'll still want a gender swap Spider-Man at some point. There's plenty of female characters. You could have made a new female character. We've talked about this over and over again. If you were really about creating something from scratch, showing that you want to have a prominent female character and you want it to last and you want it to be something that will be maybe a classic, then you have to put the work into it. And it was just fucking lazy. It was, let's make the Doctor a girl. We're done now. Now we're going to collect the money because they're just a bunch of idiots. And if they criticize it, we'll call them sexist and they'll feel guilty. Well, that shit doesn't work anymore. We saw through your bullshit. And by the way, most people are starting to notice that it's not very feminist to give a woman an established male label. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a girl couldn't do it on her own and she needed a lot of help from a dude. That's what it sounds like. And that's what it is. That's what it is because that's what you believe. If you didn't believe that, then you would have created a whole new series, because if you had a successful female Time Lord series with Doctor Who, you can make more money, and if it was good, all the Doctor Who fans would be happy, and you can maybe skip another years. That can buy you time with Doctor Who, so you get a separate series commissioned that is somewhat popular, and maybe you drop that one not all the time, or it's not as many episodes, whatever. Do whatever you want. There's a million ways they could make money, and they refuse to because they are a political organization now. It's a political organization, the BBC. It's not a media organization. It's not an unbiased media organization. It's a political organization. And hopefully that's changing, because you don't have a ton of choices over there in the UK, and I feel bad for you guys. But you're over there, so you know more than me. And when shit changes over there, there's like some new head at BBC. I'm not going to hear about it unless somebody emails me. But honestly, that would be great to see. But the question remains. The same with if you erase the Disney trilogy. Same if you fire Kurtzman tomorrow and Emma Watts is the great savior and she brings somebody in new. Does it save the franchise? And the answer is no, it doesn't. That's why so many people were so discouraged. If it was just a bad decision and a bad episode, people they would have gotten over it. If Jodie just done her run without doing any damage to canon, people would have gotten over it. But we all knew in the back of our heads they weren't going to leave it alone. Just like we all knew when they brought in Jodie, they were going to get political. They weren't just going to be fun and whimsical, because it would have been easy for the BBC to mend fences. You put her on a tour. I've talked about this a ton. You put her on a tour, you have her charm the audience. The problem is she can't. She can't. She doesn't have the ability as an actress to play the Doctor. And for whatever reason, she didn't want to go do the tours and stuff. Or maybe they didn't have the money to do it. I don't know. I remember Capaldi doing a world tour, going to South Korea. It's fucking huge too. And all that's wasted away. Wasted away for one dumb political move that was never going to work. Not in a million effing years. So what do you do now? Because you've played the identity politics game. It's not like you can just jump out of them and get the best actor available for that position. Do they double down? I would never put that out of the realm of possibility. But they most certainly are aware that they have a white woman who looks like a Karen leading around at the time to people of color. And what they thought was a good look, it's not a good look anymore. Oh my God. And this is what happens when you play identity politics. It's a game rigged to lose, rigged for you to lose all the time. And if they bring back David Tennant, reset the goddamn timeline, bring back Russell Davies, and he writes like he did, 15 years ago, maybe. And that's a maybe. But we're talking about bringing Doctor Who not just back, not just saving it back to prominence, because that's where it needs to be. It's been experiencing diminishing returns anyway. And I think the only thing you can hope for is it goes up to Capaldi level ratings. That's your best. Now, is that good enough to keep the show going? It's the one show that can do it. I just think they've lost the normies. They've completely lost the normies. And worse yet, it's not just a lack of interest. It's not disdain. It's embarrassment. It's that show is just really past its time. It's very passé now. That's what they've done to it by making it this cheesy freaking NPC, PC, SJW fest. They dated the hell out of it. Oh my God. In the not so distant future, the Karen haircut will be mocked viciously, and it should be. And the fact that I guarantee you, one thing I can promise you, Noel, and problem being, her hairstyle changes after the Christmas special. You bet your ass it does. Now, will they make it like a shaved? Will they shave the side of her head all the way? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, she won't have the Karen haircut. Take that one to the bank. So go check out Noel's live stream. It was up a couple days ago. It's on his channel. And he goes over it in detail. I was listening in the background. But I believe that Jody and Chibnall will be there through Series 13. I hope to God I'm wrong, though. I would love to see a regeneration at Christmas. Now, listen, you might see one. Maybe you heard a rumor of a regeneration. It's just not going to be her regenerating into a new doctor. Maybe she regenerates and something else happens. They've done that before. So sometimes you can hear things from, people who hear hearsay, for lack of a better term, in the building or something, and they misinterpret it or whatever. So I don't know. But that's according to Noel's source that they are going, and listen, and as far as somebody going and kicking ass at the BBC and getting them to straighten things out, I hope so. I certainly hope so. But I think the first thing I would do is not air the Christmas special. Hail, Gary. Glad I'm able to support your channel again. Great. I read that one already. Thanks again, Nettle Nerds. Chris Persia. Since Kurtzman decided to spit on Shatner on Star Trek Day, can we do something special for Shatner on September 24th, the date of Star Trek, the day Star Trek first aired? Yeah. If I can remember, if somebody wants to remind me, Chris Persia, I think we should. If I have a little more time to prep, I can do a Shatner special and bring on some guests and we can just talk some shat all day. We could call it Talking Shat. There you go. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, says Manafor665, neighbor of the beast. Neighbor of the beast. Thank you for the $5. Yes, that's what I was. I sounded like a Cyberman. Oberon for $5. Ciao, Gary. Meow fratello. Hope all is well. Don't bother with raised by morons. I mean wolves. Disturbing and lame. Yeah, they are raised by morons. Flicks by Cody for $5. Hi, Gary. I got back from the Chiro. Jamming to the Nooner. Intro feeling good. Then you started speaking from another dimension and freaked me out. Well, maybe I was briefly there. Maybe it was all that acid I took. I don't know. Disney thanking Chinese labor camp authorities in Mulan credits. Ouch. Yes. So, how do I pronounce your name? Because it's So is that supposed to be L? Cilician? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, Disney got popped. And again, this is more Hollywood hypocrisy on display. So again, we have John Malkovich's son getting busted, burning down he got busted in Portland for rioting. Greg Rucka, who is a comic book writer, he wrote for Wonder Woman for years and is one of the pioneers of the SJW movement in comic books. His son got busted for rioting. And then Disney, which works with Jar Jar Abrams and Bad Reboot and all these corporations who have been showing support for Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. But apparently, Uyghur, who are the Muslim, they're Chinese Muslims, and they are in concentration camps right now. And I'm probably getting in trouble for talking about this at all on YouTube, but it's a fact. They are in re-education camps. Jeremy from the Quartering did a video. I've been staying on top of this. I've tweeted about it a little bit, but there's pictures out there of them in their camps. It's freaking horrid. And apparently Mulan was filmed right near there. I think it's, I forgot the name of the town. I will pull up the article. Lady Greymaster, if you're out there, could you pull up the Guardian article that Jeremy from the Quartering was looking at yesterday. And they not only filmed in that town, they thanked not only just members of the communist government, the group that oversees those camps. You can't make this shit up. Now, I doubt Bob Iger will ever address this issue. You'll never see the media address this issue because they own it. They own a big portion of the media, so they're not going to address it. And if we address it, it'll be called partisan or whatever. I mean, like, so many things are becoming partisan now that should just be common sense. That should worry anybody on, like, if you side with that. Again, I don't side with anybody. I am not a conservative. I am not a Democrat. I am a centrist. I certainly hate taxes and lean to the right on some shit and lean to the left on others. But man, right now you got to be worried that there is a walking commercial every time there's rioting, and then Disney, this big, inclusive, diverse company, is doing business with the exact thing that they have been running the fucking narrative up for the last 4 years, saying it's happening here. Except there's real re-education camps, and worse, they're not just re-education camps. And it's like 1 million effing people. 1 million. A fucking million people. And it's not stuff you normally talk about, but when the mouse is this fucking hypocritical, I don't know how you could, I will never, I am not giving them a fucking penny right now. And that means not going to Marvel movies. But the fact that we're giving them money, who gives the Chinese government money, which helps support that. I had heard about it, and I don't know, man. Maybe I just had it in the back of my head and went, what are you going to do about it? That's just the way of the world. But you can't think like that. I can't think like that. It's going to be really hard to enjoy Hollywood. It's going to be very, very hard to enjoy Hollywood. And who else is doing business with them? Everybody, probably. And it's not like anybody can do anything about it. And China knows it. So I guess the best we could hope for is they peacefully get re-educated. What the fuck? Yeah, Bob Iger, that's his legacy, dude. That guy's legacy fell apart on him. He went hard in the paint for that country. So we got the NBA and we got Disney in bed with that country. And we got people like LeBron James out there spouting just freaking nonsense. Jeremy's making a living off it in Sports Wars right now. It's fucking great. And and now Disney doing this with Mulan, which I haven't seen it, not going to see it. I didn't see the animated one. Don't care about this one. Probably just freaking propaganda. Mary Sue propaganda. So no thanks. No thanks. I wouldn't support that film anyway. I think I'll echo what Jeremy said in his video on the Quartering. If you want to watch it, watch it. Did you get a Dread figure like RMB on Friday Night Tights? Got mine. Matt Guy, I did not pull the trigger on it. It's in my basket. I almost pulled the trigger on it, but it was in China, and I'm not buying anything from China. It's got to be one from the United States. But I will get one. I got to get one. Dread, I saw Critical Drinker I guess it's just in the air. People were remembering Dread. Dread was supposed to get a TV show without Carl Urban, but honestly, Dread is probably the best unsung superhero or comic book film ever made. It is. If you have not seen Dread, immediately after this live stream, go watch Dread. It's fucking great. Not just good, it's great. Then watch Critical Drinker's review, which I have not done yet, but I will. Oh, I almost hit my live stream button again. God, I gotta stop doing that. Bio1656 for $5. DS9 episode past tense predicted what's happening in San Francisco. I have to go back. I haven't watched DS9 in a while. I have to go back and watch that. Like, what did they predict? Well, they didn't predict. You mean the economic collapse and everybody leaving? Yeah. Because of the coof. Undercover Trooper for £4.99. I'll go back and check. Bio 61656. I am currently on TNG, and after TNG, I'm going to DS9. DS9. There are episodes of Star Trek I have not seen in decades, though. So, STD makes Lower Decks look good. Not saying Lower Decks is good. STD just is that bad, says Undercover Trooper for £4.99. Yep. No, Lower Decks isn't horrifically bad, but it's not good either. It's not worth my time. And it's the best Star Trek you're going to get. Period. Modalicious for $5. I failed high school English 3 times, so I know some mistakes to avoid. Stop ending your sentences in propositional phrases. Tell Jeremy the same. No. Modalicious. No. I'm not going to rethink how I talk. I think it's been working so far, Modalicious. What do you think? Andrew Cartsworth for 10 Canadian pesos. Gary, would you ever review a fan's franchise? I emailed you to send if you could review my 1/16th prologue of my animatic episode. It is called Passage Beyond Infinite Worlds by Andrew Cotsworth. I will check it out. Yeah. The only thing I can't do is read entire books right now. I can't. I'm way behind on that already. But yes, sure. Just email Gary@nerdrotic.com. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate it. Mark C., retracted message, but thank you for the $5. What's up, Mark C.? That sucks. Your message got retracted. I like your messages. Mr. Humpty for $10. Hail. Sorry, off topic. Did you ever cover the Me Too story about Cass Anvar from The Expanse? Any news on how that affects the show? Also, Adam Savage's channel has a great video about the sets of The Expanse. I did cover it when it came out. I haven't heard much since. I don't know if they're letting it blow over. I heard there was an investigation. If anybody in the chat knows different, let me know. I can certainly have, if Lady Greymaster is out there, she could go check it out. But I remember that they were going to start an investigation, and I don't know what happened after that. How will it affect the show? Adversely. It will adversely affect the show. Mr. Insanity, Jason C., JPRPH1, thank you for the phallic unicorns for 99 cents, $1.49 and 99 cents. Mark C., you're back. Sending you condolences for the canceled Venture Brothers. I know you love the show. Just remember, be alert for shady salons that will set you up. Mark C., I will always be alert for shady salons that will set me up, because that's what salons do. They just want to set up politicians after they've been closed for months, even though they weren't open or part of the setup or they didn't set up the appointment. Yeah, got to watch out for that. Victor Wilcox for $5. Here's something to offset Star Trek's bullshit. On a positive note, there are also seriously demonetizing the entire franchise. They are, Victor. That is a good point. Star Trek is getting demonetized altogether. I agree with you. That's great. Jonathan Aldridge. Hi, Gary. What would be the best way to start if a person wanted to write a new sci-fi story that has elements of old Trek style in it? Jonathan, I don't mean to sound like a dick on this for £5. I don't. Start it. Just start it. If it starts getting into, you feel like you're copying too much, don't worry about it. The hardest thing to do with the story is just to start it. So get it started. That's it. And go from there and have fun. Blank for $9.99. Just learned that Disney thanks Chinese labor camp authorities in Mulan credits 2020 as 2020 as killed satire. Yeah, I learned that yesterday during when Jeremy's video came out, and I couldn't believe it, but then I could. Now, I haven't gone and verified. I'm taking them at their word, but The Guardian came out and said it here. I think, let's see. There it is. Thanks, Lady Grandmaster. You're the best. Oh, we're back on Karen. Hang on. Ah! Let's go right over here and we'll do it. Boom. All right. Disney remake of Mulan criticized for filming in Xinjiang. Is it Xinjiang? Film credits offer thanks to 8 government entities in region where rights abuses are documented. Now that is a change in the headline. I do believe I have the old headline. Hang on. I could be wrong. I'm going to double check this because I have that headline saved. Let's go to my documents. Ah, yes. You guys can't see this, but maybe I'll show it to you later. But Disney remake of Mulan criticized for filming in Xinjiang. Film credits offer thanks to 8 government entities in region where rights abuses are alleged. They have now changed it to documented. That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. Here, just to prove that, let's see. I can add it. Give me just a moment here. There we go. So there it is right there. Film credit offers thanks to 8 government entities in the region where rights abuses are alleged. Oh, now it is documented. My. Disney's live-action remake of Mulan already the target of a boycott because the lead actress showed support for the communist Chinese government and did not show support for Hong Kong's freedom, which is screwed, by the way, has come under fire for filming in Xinjiang. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sure it's a hate crime. The site of alleged widespread human rights abuses against the Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. The film, directed by Gina Carano, is an adaptation of Disney's 1998 animation about Hu Mulan, a young woman who disguises herself as a man to fight in the Imperial Army in her father's stead. The remake attracted criticism when the actor Liu, we'll just call her Liu, who also plays Mulan, said she supported Hong Kong police in their often violent crackdowns on pro-democracy protesters. After the film's release last Friday, observers noted another controversial element in the film credits. Disney offers special thanks to 8 government entities in Xinjiang, including, is it Xinjiang? God, it's going to bug me. I need to know how to pronounce that now. Including the Public Security Bureau in Turpan, a city in eastern Xinjiang, where several re-education camps have been documented. The film also expresses thanks to the Publicity Department of CPC Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomy Region Committee. The Chinese Communist Party's propaganda department in Xinjiang. Disney has been approached for comment. Did that really say that? The Publicity Department of the CBC Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomy Region Committee. Oh, wow. Disney, you've got some explaining to do. China has forced international scrutiny over its treatment of Muslim minorities in Xinjiang, where it is estimated at least 1 million residents have been detained in extrajudicial internment camps. Uyghur women have reported forced sterilizations and birth control as a part of a government campaign to suppress birth rates in what experts have described as demographic genocide. According to media reports, before its release, Mulan was shot in about 20 locations in China, including the Mingshan Desert, part of which is in Xinjiang, and the Taiyuk Valley, an oasis village east of Turpan. Filming took place in 2018, the same year China's Strike Hard campaign in Xinjiang ramped up with the construction of the camps. According to research Adrian Zen's, Turpan was the first documented case of re-education or political indoctrination used against the Uyghurs to eradicate the soil for the breeding and spread of religious extremism. Wow. Activists calling for a boycott of the film are now highlighting its links to Xinjiang, while other researchers noted that the Public Security Bureau in Turpan oversees at least 14 internment camps in the area. God damn it. Human rights advocates have called on Disney to be transparent about its dealings with the authorities in Xinjiang. According to the report in the Wall Street Journal, Disney shared its script with Chinese authorities and consulted with local advisors in order to guarantee its release in China. Let's take a look at something. The producers of Mulan. I don't want to be an IMDb pro. Oh, fuck IMDb. Here, there's another way I could do this. I was just going to look up the producers. But I can do that. Because I'm pretty sure I saved that picture too. Whoops. That's where I want to go. I saved that picture too. It was right. Here. So if we go here, there we go. We could just make that a little bigger. These are all the producers for Mulan. So they didn't know any of this. Chris Bender, Peter Clues, William Kong, Tendo Naganda, Barry M. Osborne, Jason Reed, Jessica Virtue. Her last name is Virtue. And Jake Weiner. They didn't know any of this. Bullshit. They knew all this. That's their job, to know all this stuff. Those are the people we need to be asking the questions of directly. We want to start putting these people under scrutiny. I love film. I love television. I love pop culture. It's just pretend. And when pretend, I mean, it's not the first time it's happened in questionable places, nor will it be the last time. But again, there's a narrative in the mainstream media that's, again, running through all of our entertainment. That's false. That's claiming that the world is full of Yahtzees and they're out to get you. And my son just came in today, again, in class. They were teaching him about his unconscious bias. Yet, it's really happening right here. Like facts, actual facts, news, not hearing about it at fucking all. Yet we're seeing divisiveness all through our streets for a fucking lie, for a fake narrative. And now there's a bunch of, I'm sorry, retarded lunatics running around burning shit down because, well, at least listen, I'm not going to say respect, but I'll respect a little more the one who just wants to go steal shit. If you're just out there and your whole goal is to steal shit and you don't care about the politics, which is probably a good chunk of them, fine. You're still a dick. You should still go to jail. I want you out the fucking streets. But if you're out there thinking you're changing the world by burning down that Starbucks, you want to go change the world? Go rebel over there, dude, where there's actual re-education camps. Tell you what, John Malkovich, Greg Rucka, send your sons to China. China. If you feel that strongly about doing the right thing, send them on over there. Because guess what? Our sons might be going there anyway. So that's the people Bob Iger too. Bob Iger, but that dude is going to, when you, in between his mirror time, that guy spends like all fucking time, all kinds of time in front of the mirror. There's never like a hair out of place. He's like the Fonz. He's always checking his shit. Fuck it, man. That is dark. That shit is dark, man. Sorry, folks, but that's Disney. That's Hollywood hypocrisy. I mean, how many times do we got to fucking talk about it? And these fools, I mean, probably today there's somebody virtue signaling from fucking Disney right now. You guys don't have a fucking leg to stand on. If I was Disney, I would just shut up right now. If I was Disney, I would get the hell out of China, but they're not gonna, and they can't now. They have done so much business with them, they can't not do business with them, because if they didn't, who knows? Would the Chinese government rat them out to our government? I mean, who knows? Are they blackmailing them? They're compromised now. Dare I call them a security risk? Who knows? Jesus. I heard the BBC has a new director that wishes to turn the BBC around, but the new director has a lot of things to change, says Jonathan Aldridge for £5. Yeah, they do. They have a lot to change, but if they start with Doctor Who, that'd be a good start. I don't think it's, I don't know. Just think about it. A few years ago, they had Top Gear, biggest show in the world, Doctor Who 50th anniversary. I mean, things were looking up. And they found every way to fuck that up, didn't they? My heart was officially broken when with the Venture Brothers news. My favorite cartoon ever, says Vintage Comic Love for $5. Yep. One of the best shows on TV, some of the tightest canon, some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, and it's gone. Maybe we'll get a special that wraps up the end. I don't know. But again, it's been canceled for months, and they just made it public now, which I thought was weird. I thought was really weird. Hope you're keeping cool in Cali. Heard that there's a heat wave and power outages there. Yes, Idea Machine for $5. I sat through a rolling blackout on Saturday for 2 hours. It was 111 degrees that day. I was fine. It's fine. I'm not in San Francisco, where there's poop and you still can't go to work and they're playing politics and they're destroying people's lives. Jury Nitpicker for $4.99. Hail, I was never a Star Trek fan until I started watching you in DC. I just started watching the original series and I absolutely love them. Hail. They are genius, and they are genius because of the characters. Of course, the writing, but the characters. they are such endearing characters, and it's a better cast than TNG. TNG's got a good cast. It's decent. I am reminded how much Picard really loved Data in the first few episodes. Oh, he didn't. Rich Suddy for 15 pounds. Are the Star Trek jackets made of Anavus? Because they'll be waiting for months, and try asking for a refund. Been waiting for mine since the beginning of the year. Oh, really? Let me go check, Rich Suddy. I've still got that up. I still got that page up. Oh, is that the same Trek jacket that wasn't Angry Joe waiting for one too? Forever? Let's see who it's made by. Boldly go. That zipper looks terrible. I hate it. I don't know who this company. No, it's Superhuman Streetwear. Superhuman Streetwear. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Where's the Delta? It doesn't look good. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Oh, if you do an AMA, what would you hope someone asks? If I do an AMA, well, I do one catastrophe for $2 every week with my members on Sunday at noon. You can join me if it's on the upper two levels. It's Geologia and higher. Sometimes twice a week. This time they're getting it twice a week. This Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. they're going to get one too. What do I hope I get asked? What do I hope I get asked? Would you take this $10 million off my hands? No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be asked if I would touch your monkey. That's it. That's all I know. What do I hope to be asked? That's weird. It's not a weird question. I know it's not, you're not weird. Let me rephrase that. It's surreal getting asked a question like that. I'm just a bloke, dude. Seriously, you can ask me anything. I might not answer it, but you can ask me anything. You can ask me anything here. If I catch it, I'll try to answer it. It's cool. I went to watch the DS9 panel today, and Will Wheaton was hosting. Turned it off. Screw that. He is horrifically bad for having a career in Hollywood. But you know what? The only reason he's famous now is because he had that big Twitter run for a while. He is awful. And rewatching season 1, I'm reminded how awful his acting was as a kid, too. He was fucking terrible. What's up, Bird of Prey 5? Kapla, my friend. Love Bird of Prey 5. He keeps it real. The bust of the Riker facepalm says everything that's wrong with Star Trek. Mech 1164499. Exactly. And they didn't even produce that. That was Diamond Distributors. Casey Osalski for $50. Gary, well, I don't know exactly how to save Star Trek. Defunding Kurtzman would be a good place to start. Casey, thank you for the $50. You're right. I don't know how to fix any of these franchises. Getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy, Chris Chibnall, Alex Kurtzman is a very good place to start. Now, do they replace them with worse people? That's a possibility. But it kind of needed to happen already. No, it didn't kind of. It needed to happen already. It's too late. It's too late for Star Wars. Star Wars will, I wish I had my as echo, never, ever be as popular as it was in the past. Ever again. You only get, Star Wars somehow got 2 shots at it. You never get 2 shots at it. But it got 2 shots at it, and now it's done. Star Trek had 1 shot, and it's done. And they really went the safest route by remaking. I mean, like you look back on it, it's kind of a dumb move. It was charming to some people. We got the good casting. Carl Urban as McCoy. Yeah. But it was really a dumb move. It was a safe move and it was dumb. It was not made for longevity. It was made for right now. Let's just make a bunch of money right now. And then, oh shit, it worked. Now we need to have a plan. We have Jar Jar Abrams and we need a goddamn plan. That's a bad place to be. That is a bad place to be. What's up, Eric K? Thanks for being here in your wrench. $100 from Mr. Williams. Starting some support to you and your family moving to Texas. You would be welcome here. Well, I will be in Texas in about a month. Hope I can do a meetup. I don't know exactly where I'm going to be. I'll be around San Antonio. I'm going to go see Comics Division. Maybe go by and see Quarterback Garrett. Knock on Doomcock's entrance to see who answers. That'll be interesting. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Williams. Hail, Texas. Can't wait to get out of here, dude. Mary Ashby for $2 sends the farting dog. Thank you for the farting dog. Gary, I'm proud to be your mod. Thank you for being a great host. You rock. I'm glad to be here. Cool. I am glad. Listen, mods work for nothing. So I don't expect much. Honestly, the fact that you're here and you work hard and it's appreciated. And the mods know that I try to be as cool as possible. You can attack me all you want. Don't attack anybody in the chat. Do not spam. I don't like that. But otherwise, yeah, nobody's perfect. And if anybody's ever got a problem, try to work it out in the chat. They know to give warnings. And if not, then email me. The mods are cool though. So, take it easy on them. Son of a Dagon. Thank you for the 99 cents. Thank you for the super sticker. And again, I want to thank Problem Being for passing that rumor on to me on Friday. I wanted to talk about it more, but we didn't. I'm trying to get more information on it from my guy, but honestly, as far as the Doctor Who rumor goes, I don't know if he'll know much right now because of where he works. Sorry, I can't support the show anymore due to Mulan having shown support to the nasty camps in China. Socialism is for figs for $20. Thank you. Socialism is for figs. I appreciate it. That any support, just being here is fine. And goddamn, that China thing is fucking bad. Obviously. So that's more money we get to save on Disney, I guess. But the minute they come out and start spouting anything, if they start moral grandstanding on anything, we need to pound them with, what about this? What about this? What about this? All the time until they answer for it. They need to answer for it. The fact that they haven't said anything is ridiculous. And if the mainstream media was a media at all, which they're not, this would be the biggest story. It'd be a huge story. There's a bunch of stories we're not hearing about now. I can't even get into all of them. But there's a bunch of stories that should be headline news, and they're not. We're more worried about what the Orange Man supposedly said, which apparently he didn't, at a funeral or something. It's dumb. And before that, it was the First Lady and some Legos. Lego Gate. It's some stupid shit. It's not women's studies, Gare Bear. It's feminist geography, says Chapo for $4.99. I sit corrected. Samuel Stafford for $100. Great episode. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Seriously. I appreciate you all for being here at this Nerdrotic Nooner. No one can cancel the great Walter Mosley, novelist and creator of Easy Rollins. Latino Slant for $4.99. I guess it should be put, nobody puts Walter Mosley in the corner. No, that was fucked up what they did to that guy. And he could have actually probably written a competent episode of fucking Star Trek. But my guess is he's probably glad he got fired. Or he quit. I'm sorry. He quit. But they were humiliating him. They were going to send Walter Mosley to HR. And he just told an anecdotal story, dropped the N-word, but it was in reference to his story, and it's perfectly okay because he's a black man. And somebody ratted him out. And I guarantee you it was one of those two girls who used to write for the CW. And they have been the writers who have been at Star Trek the whole time. They have been the constant throughout all of this. Thank you, Gary, for all the hard work. You bring me so much joy these days. Wonder Girl 60s, what's up? Thank you for the $19.99. I haven't seen you in a while. You guys bring me joy. This does not work. This is talking for me. I could do these for hours. I could if I didn't have things to do. Here's some coffee money for your Cal exit trip. Thank you, Fred W. Monzo, for $4.99. I will use it for a dark roast with just black. I like my coffee black. A work offensive in any way, a work offensive in any workplace that requires a sacking should be applied to anyone that does a bad job regardless of skin color. Yep. You mean like being at-will employee. Period. Did you see what I tweeted up? Somebody passed this to me. It was Saturday. You guys don't see every tweet. That's fine. I don't. Here, where is it? You're not going to believe this shit. Oh my God. Yellow flash. I'm glad I didn't have my, I had to make sure I didn't have my thing up right now. Oh my God. There's like naked women on Twitter. Hang on. I got a little discombobulated there. It's like, hello. Here it is. Well, there's two things that pissed me off. But here's the first. Hairdresser not allowed to recruit happy stylist because it discriminates against unhappy applicants. I'll say it again. Hairdresser not allowed to recruit happy stylist because it discriminates against unhappy applicants. Advert for salon in Stroud stated, "This is a busy, friendly, small salon, so only happy, friendly stylists need to apply." I fucking love that. I absolutely love that because there's so much drama in fucking hairdressing. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing to say. But it discriminates against unhappy people. They want everyone unhappy, by the way. That's what they want to get you down. They want you so down that you will just beg for any assistance, beg for anything to come save us. And then when they do, we're going to be missing a lot of rights, human rights. There'll be a lot more laws, but we'll be thankful for a government that came in and saved us after doing nothing, especially state governments. I'm talking about certain state governments who have done nothing but lock people down for an agenda. And that's all it is now. This is not about public safety. That is bullshit. So we also got this. You want to hear about that bullshit? Here's the more bullshit. San Francisco government buildings keep gyms open. Crush private gym owners. That's right. The city-owned gyms have been open. So, if we're judging people by their actions, not by their words, Nancy Pelosi got her hair did with her mask off. City workers are going to a gym without their mask on, probably practicing social distancing. That's fine. No problem with that. So you didn't need to close down the gyms. Actually, I would argue the same thing everyone else has been arguing. You're actually worse off for not going to the gym because you need this thing called an immune system, and going to the gym helps you with that. It's a very simple process not to get sick at the gym. I do it all the time. I treated my gym like it had bubonic plague in it all the time. People are dirty. It's fine. It takes me no time to get the little spray bottle they have. I spray down the machine. I spray down the weights. I wipe everything down like I am paid to work there to clean that shit. And then I work out. And you know what? I don't get sick from the gym. It's that fucking easy. I don't get uncomfortably close to people. I try to keep my distance. The gym is my time. It's my meditation time. I go there to think and, think up videos. It's where I do some of my best thinking. Okay. And yeah, I fucking wash everything down like it's got the plague when I'm there, because it might. And most people do. So gyms are completely fine. They should be open. Hair salons, they are trained in health and safety. They need to get a license from the state of California to do that. How many businesses can say that? Not many. Some can, but not many. Salons are one of them. There was no reason to close them. And guess what? Everybody's getting their fucking haircuts anyway. And you know what they suggested you do? Have somebody come to your house. Well, how does that stop the spread? Oh, wait, we're not really worried about that, are we now? We've moved the goalposts like 9 times since then. I don't fucking know. Alls I know, 54% of San Francisco's businesses are gone forever. That number is probably going up. And people are losing their job. But guess what? There's also jobs out there. There's tons of jobs out there. Tons. Every single place I walk into has a help wanted sign in Southern California. They're having trouble finding people right now. And I think it has everything to do with they're paying more in probably unemployment than the job would, but that will change. That will change. Yeah. That was a pissa. Thank you again, Wonder Girl 60. Thank you again, Fred W. Manzo and Jonathan Aldridge. Keeping someone in the job because of their skin color is just stupid. A work offensive against sacking level should be a sack, says Jonathan Aldridge for 5 pounds. Yeah. The unconscious bias that they speak of, is it out there? Sure. But it's a human condition. It's not anything you can do anything about. But alls I know, I can only speak for myself. I hired a lot of different folks. I don't make a big deal about it, but as I end up on white supremacist lists, I remind people that the first person I hired was at my shop was a black man. And the second person I hired was an Asian woman. My manager was a gay Latino. Puerto Rican kid worked there. He's a great kid. Had a couple of white dudes, one white girl, and El Salvador, Argentina, Vietnamese. Yeah. Because San Francisco that's the makeup of San Francisco. And the only criteria, I know I'm so freaking white supremacist. The only criteria was you had to pass a test, a basic test, a 10-question test of your knowledge of comics. But before I even gave you that test, you had to show me enthusiasm. You had to give a shit. I'm not going to make you care. That's the only thing. I'll pay. I paid well, but you had to love my store as much as I love my store, or at least make me think that. That's how I treat employees. I'm not, and like maybe this isn't the best way, but this is the way I did it because I treated them like adults, and I'm not a big reminder. I'll say something, I'm not going to repeat it. I told you to do something, do it. You can do it in your own time. I don't care. I am definitely not a micromanager at all. I will not micromanage anybody. Once I give somebody the freedom to do, hey, organize this the way you want. Just make sure it's nice. If I don't like it, I might tell you to do it again, but organize it how you like. Do what you like. That's the kind of boss I was. It worked for some people. It didn't work for others. But I'm not the kind of person who's going to watch every move. But the one thing you couldn't get political on your social media. That was one of my rules, even back then, because it reflected on me. And if you didn't like it, you didn't need to work at the store. It was that simple. It's like, all right, I'm not suppressing anything. You will freely give it up to work here, or you won't work here. It's a choice. It's a choice. And everything was fine. We had a lot of fun. Did it work with everybody? No. Oh God, no. Oh hell no. But I had some great employees though that I'm proud of, that are out there in the world, and I gave them their first job and they're out there in the world. One of them's cutting trailers in Hollywood. The other one's, I hope he's doing okay. He was doing real estate in New York. It's probably not that great right now. And yeah, they're doing great. They're like kids. But the people who are making the accusations, calling me this and that, whatever, probably, I don't know. Have they ever been married? Have they had kids? Do they know the makeup of my family? No. Still don't care. What do you think about DC's Wonder Woman of History graphic novel? All leftist. I think a couple of people were neutral in that. What do I think of it? Tavok, $5, cringe. Absolute, utter cringe. And DC being partisan. Are they going to do a Superman history of men? And no, they're not. Of course not. But the comic companies have always done this, and that's why it's an industry that shrunk and continued to shrink. And that's why people are running to Indiegogo and giving thousands of dollars to people 2 years ago you never heard of, aside from Ethan. But now you have. It's going to be interesting to see, because everybody's going to listen. The best way to make money in the comic book industry right now is to crowdfund. But to crowdfund, you have to kind of use the Comicsgate method, which is platform crowdfund. Have your little platform or big platform, and have your group. What you do is you draw an audience. You have a core group of people who you hang out with every week, and then they get into your comic. And it works. It works. It really does. But you got to make a good comic. You got to treat your audience right. There's a lot of factors that go in, and it does take a lot of time. So not everybody can do it. So you can also use once or twice you can use a name. The movie star comic thing is nothing new. All right. But Keanu Reeves, what they did taking it to Kickstarter was new. And as far as they've promised to complete it, most movie star comics don't finish. They go about 3 or 4 issues. Celebrity comics. It happens all the time. Some rock star wants to, Danzig wants to go start an imprint or whatever. And, he did one for a good long time, but it eventually, they get bored of it. They go back to their day jobs. I usually don't trust them, but, Southeastern Kaiju for $2. Gina Carano liked one of my tweets today. Hell yeah. That's a victory. She wished Drunk 3PO a happy birthday. That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. No, I think Gina, I know Gina probably has a lot of common sense. Who knows? You never know who's watching. Hail, Gary. I would totally donate to a Venture Brothers Indiegogo. Best animated show of all time. Go Team Venture. Ignore me. Great reference. Yes, I get the reference. Ignore me. That was one of the best ones. Their version of The Watcher. Anthony Yavelkovic for $5. Hail, Gary. Star Trek could last for many more years if they had hired an actual fan of the show as a showrunner. Literally throwing any fan in there. Yeah, and they're literally throwing away money. Babysat Mr. Roddenberry for Khan after Star Trek 4. Was there when he got the news TNG was picked up. Had to keep it to myself for months. Thanks for all you do, Gary. The great bird wouldn't want this. The great bird wouldn't want. No. How do I say your name? Toon says Makash for $10. The great bird would hate this. And I heard one person argue that Gene's always been an SJW and he would have liked Michael Burnham. No, Gene said he was an SJW. Gene would go out and talk a long game about shit. But again, judge a man by his actions, not by his words. But whatever he was as a human being, his idea was bigger than him. His idea for Star Trek was bigger than him. And it was a great uniting force that's no longer uniting, just like Doctor Who. Hail, good sir. Really wanted to send a $17.01 super chat in honor of today, but I wanted to say thank you for your words the other day. I am somewhere between normie and fan and appreciate your take on pop culture news. Will Perkowski, thank you for the $19.99 and your kind words. The normies make the world go around. Hardcore fans are there. We're easy with certain things. But when we turn on you, scorned lovers, we are. Attacking fans was not something we started because we're the fans. These shows started to go hard in the paint politically. We started calling it out, rightfully so. They didn't like us calling it out, and they got personal. Now, Star Trek, aside from the occasional Wilson Cruz tweet, Kurtzman hasn't come out publicly and said much of anything. Shaban did come out and say that he trolls people in scripts, though. And I'm sure Kurtzman does. Kurtzman has said that they use Star Trek for a platform, though. But he hasn't said anything that I would call a direct attack on fandom other than his writing. But using Star Trek for a platform, that was big. Emailed you regarding the BBC. Gotta sleep. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peppermint oil capsule. I will read it. Thank you very much for the 2 pounds. 200 watt studio for $2. Kurtzman gets work because he has a pretty mouth. He has a pretty mouth, boy. Yeah, maybe. Hey, Hoser. Star Trek Day was 2 days ago, eh? No, it was today. Star Trek Day is today. I don't know what you're referencing, though. If I got a date wrong, maybe, but at C3OFS. Oh, I'm not even going to pronounce this. Thank you, sir, for the $10. Check out the Star Trek Adventures Klingon Empire tabletop RPG that uses TNG, DS9, etc. era Klingons, and you play from the Klingon Empire perspective. By Modifius. Is that who makes the game? Cool. Check it out. Jury Nitpicker for $9.99. Hail, Gary. I just have to say I'm so glad you found your calling. I look forward to your vids every day. Lost 3 family members in the past 3 months, 2 deaths and 1 suicide. This show keeps me sane. Holy shit, dude. I am sorry. Yeah, I will do my best to lighten that mood. God damn, man. I know you've messaged before. Yeah, I know you've had a tough year, and this too shall pass, but there's nothing I can say to make that better. Nope. I've had years like that, but geez. Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here, Jury Nitpicker. Hi, Gary. I heard that the BBC has a new director that wishes... Oh, I read that one, Jonathan Aldridge, but thank you. I'm caught up now. Am I? My earliest memory of TV was watching the original Star Trek with my dad. Yep, that old. Such fond memories. By the way, sent the Lord of the Rings character list via email. Hope you got it. I did, Kent, and I will respond. I'll respond today. Thank you very much for the $10. And hell yeah, I will get those for you. From you. Jonathan Aldridge for £5. Sash Sig is the new director, not the old one. He actually wants to turn things around, and people in the UK are saying enough. Good. The Tweaky Kid for $4.99. Hail, chat. I'd rather you and Drinker break down the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai instead of reviewing STD. Well, Drinker and I will be breaking down something that is not Star Trek Discovery. We will be breaking down, I believe it's Face Off. The bust of the Riker. Oh, okay, now I'm caught up. It jumped on me a little bit. Samuel Stafford for $100. I was about to read this 3 times and I got sidetracked. Sorry, Samuel. $100. He said, great episode. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Gary, I am proud. Oh, I read that one. Okay. You could tell I'm hungry. There'll be 2 versions of the special. One version with a regen scene and one without, says Nicholas Horton for £5. So according to Noel, there are 2 versions of the Christmas special. There's one with the regeneration scene and there's one without. But who's the new doctor? So will they just regenerate and not show us who the doctor is? They'll just regenerate because it's such a last minute decision. I guess they could do it that way. I would think if there was a new doctor, they would make a big deal about it. They would promote it. Yeah, I'll listen. I'll believe it when I see it. I want to believe it. I really do, but I'll believe it when I see it. JPRPH1 for $4.99. Really enjoyed Robert Meyer Burnett on Friday Night Tights. I hope you have him back on again. I will. He was great. He fit right in. I am a millennial and I pay for a TV license, says Jonathan Aldridge for £5. Well, you're being extorted from. Dude, the regeneration is a scam to get peeps to watch the Christmas so they can rave about numbers. Don't fall for this, says Kaz Devlin for $5. Has it become news that it's a regeneration? I haven't seen a thing. But I have been busy the last couple of days. So, is it, you think, okay, so Kaz is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that they put this rumor of a regeneration out to get people to fucking watch. That I would believe too. I could believe them doing that too. I will find out soon. I guess we'll all find out on Christmas for sure. Smooth Jam California for £5. Jody regenerating in the next episode sounds like a Christmas miracle. It would be. It's not going to be on Christmas though. It's a festive special. It's not going to be a Christmas special, by the way. It's not coming out on Christmas Day. As a Brit, the BBC is a partisan POS that won't change. The decriminalization of non-oatmeal of license fee is coming very soon now. The decriminalization of the license fee, says the Fixer One for £5. Yes, and it can't come soon enough. The Prime Minister welcomes the views of Canadians on the issue. You may be assured that your command has been duly noted. Hashtag Shatner Day, says Dr. Exit. Thank you for the 5 Canadian pesos. Ilusiat for $10. Thoughts on Disney thanking the Security Department of China. Thank you very much. That is the concentration camps for letting them film Mulan near the camp. So I gave my thoughts earlier. Are you okay? Yeah. She was trying to pass me a drink and she tripped over. So yeah, watch your step back there. It's hazardous. Those of us in Scotland are forced to pay for a license to fund the BBC. Indeed, if we don't pay the TV license, we're not allowed to watch any live TV. Then don't watch any. What are you missing? A bunch of woke shit. Don't pay it. I'd say get Netflix, but that's got cuties on it. Watch YouTube. We are way more entertaining than some woke BBC soap opera. And I'm talking about Doctor Who. Thank you, Martin Kinning, for £5. So yeah, my thoughts on Disney. Disney needs to explain themselves. I would love to hear it, but it clearly looks like Disney is working with a government that is putting people in concentration camps. I mean, what else are you supposed to say other than it's disgusting and it really makes me not want to give Disney another penny. That would mean not going. Well, I could still go see stuff. I could still see stuff. I'm checking something. Ah, crap. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one because Disney owns Marvel, and I would be Marvel movies. I'm already not buying comics, and I don't like any other part of Disney, so it's no loss, and I won't go to Disneyland. I'll just go to Universal Studios. Tweet Shatner en masse and see if we can get him on, says Black Tiger 001 for 2 Canadian pesos. Oh, shit. I couldn't even get him on right now if I wanted him to because I'm just live streaming through OBS. But thank you. I would love to talk to him. That'd be great. Coco for 5 Canadian pesos. Domo arigato, Mr. Nerdrotic. That's good. Disney probably got cheap labor using the camp workers, says Eric K. for $2. Yes, they did. And that makes it even more disgusting. Gary, what is really happening to the Muslims in China? I reckon it's not re-education camps. I reckon they are being worked to death. Jonathan Aldridge for £5. I reckon you're right. The Uyghurs are getting free re-education, though, says Southeastern Kaiju for $2. Oh, shit. Yes, they are. How much money is Disney lost? 7 to 8 billion? They won't be big for very long at this rate, says Peter Ford for $4.99. No, they won't. How much money has Hollywood lost? I'm looking into that, by the way. A member of parliament told me that the new BBC head is conservative, but he won't get rid of the wokeness before Boris scraps the license. James Hamblin for $4.99. Yeah, well, if they're not getting rid of it, then what's the goddamn point? Okay, Doctor Who, say Jodie regenerates, right? Regenerates at Christmas. It's still 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years till we see new Doctor Who. It's dead. It's dead. Unless they could regenerate her, film a series within a year. And I mean, like, it would have to be the quickest turnaround of all time. It's still dead. People are just going to go away. They're not going to be patient enough for this. Only hardcore fans are going to be patient for this. And they have alienated a lot of us. Most of us. Billy West for $5. They could start a regeneration and then fade to black and start a new season with the new Doctor a la Eccleston. They could. And it might be a similar situation. But we also found out pretty quick, right? I'm trying to think back to those days. They filmed the regeneration. They knew it. When did the rumors start? They announced it. I can't remember. I can't even remember. But I'll look back. It's a possibility. I will keep my mind open to it. It would have to have been something drastic happening at the last minute. You know what? Keep an eye on Jodie. Keep an eye on Jodie. See if she picks up any roles. I mean, there'll be signs. But here's the deal. I meant to say this earlier. Chris Chibnall's still there. So Jodie can come or go. Chris Chibnall's still there. Hail Gary, sent email September 6th, colorized versions of your Twitter page art for your consideration. God bless and thanks. Thank you, R. Grace, for $5. I did get the email. I will get back to you. Undisclosed location for $5. Just watch Netflix away. What the fuck is with all the crying in sci-fi now? Hasn't seen this much since Discovery. Thoughts? I haven't seen, what is it? Away? I haven't seen it. But there's a lot of crying on TV now. You're right. Russell Hall for $2. We've known about the Uyghur Muslims since 2014. Has it been that long? Yeah, it probably has. Instead of Mulan, may I recommend Red Cliff, a truly epic masterpiece? I will check it out. El Presidente for £5. Nightmare Gamer for $5. Disney and Hollywood got to stop bending the knee to the Chinese government. Well, they are owned by the Chinese government now. That's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. It's entertainment and the media against the majority of the world. I wonder who will win, LOL. Well, we will eventually, Dan. Because we pay them bills. We pay them bills. Meowsers. Welcome to the Geloja level. Welcome. Phil Moore for $5. What's up, Phil? Just got the word. We are out. We at our business are working from home permanently. Now I'll be able to catch more of the adventures live. Cheers. Right on. It's ridiculous to not work from home. If those days are gone. To use the term boomer, that was a boomer philosophy. For certain jobs, you do not need to come into work. Unless you're putting your hands on shit, you don't need to come into work. Catastrophe for $2. Would you take this $2 off my hands? Sure. Thank you. I don't have a choice at this point, but thank you. I will. I appreciate it. Nightmare Gamer for $2. Keep up the fight. All hail fandom and Nerdrotic. Hail fandom. Hail fandom. Jonathan Aldridge for £5. I heard that people are saying that everything you hear about the Orange Man is actually the media and press having something else to do with it. Yeah, listen, however you feel about that guy, everybody's welcome here, by the way. You don't have to like him at all. I'm indifferent. I just look at him. I liked him as a celeb. I liked him on when he was on Howard Stern. And right now, I don't get a vote in presidency, but he would probably, he would get my vote for sure. Like, what am I going to vote for? Biden? I'm not going to vote for Biden. But my vote doesn't count, so it doesn't fucking matter. I'm in California. It's a fart in the wind. I would like there to be a great uniter someday that would reunite this country, and it would be all kumbaya, and we might see that someday, but not this day. Not this day. Hail, Gary, what is best in life? What is best in life? To see your enemies driven before you, to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. Of course. Prodigy Palpatine for £2. I gotta, you know what? I need to have that clip ready to go. Because right now, all I have is, hang on. I only have a couple of clips. There they are.
Times are changing. Ladies can do stuff now.
What? Were you saying something? Look, I don't speak Spanish.
There you go. Culture Casino, thank you for the phallic unicorn for $1.49. But listen, all people are welcome here. You can hate the Orange Man. I don't care. We just want to enjoy fucking entertainment. I'd like for everybody to shut the fuck up in entertainment for a little while. Sure, everything's political somewhat. Sometimes you can have political thrillers. I get it, yada, yada, yada. Hollywood is not here to propagandize. They are not here to influence. They are here to entertain. Yes, there's been propaganda in the past. Yes, there have been communists in Hollywood in the past. Yes, there are communists now. I don't like communism. I don't like Marxism. I like freedom. I like everything around surrounding liberty, and I like free expression. And you can act however the fuck you want as long as it's legal and you're not hurting anybody you can identify. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care. You could be as gay as you want or as trans as you want. Don't care. Just don't tell me what to fucking do. Period. And don't start running around my country and getting, somebody gets in my face. I don't care how many people are there, by the way. Somebody gets in my face and tells me to put my fist up in the air. I'm going to put it in their mouth. That's it. And you know what? I've already been through the scary shit, right? I've been through prison riots. I've been through it and I survived it. So I'm not worried about that shit. And I can't live my life worried about that shit, just like I can't live my life worried about the coof. You can't live your life worried about everything all the fucking time. This fucking fear porn that's hurt the country the most, more than anything, is the constant fear porn. And the mainstream media is not your friend. It's not my friend. And neither right now are the technocratic overlords or the Hollywood pretenders. Like Patton Oswalt. He's been one of the worst. Thank you again, Cultural Casino. Butter Brisket 92 for $5. Garrus, please stop saying that. Unemployment not paying crap right now. In PA, a job minimum wage. Starbucks isn't paying rent. We don't make Cali money here. Butter Biscuit 92. I'm talking about California, though. I'm not talking about Pennsylvania. So I don't know what you're getting upset about. I don't know what your unemployment is. I don't live there. Jason Smoot for $1.49. Thank you for the phallic unicorn. Admin Grumpy Bear for $20. Politics is everywhere these days, and pop culture is the last Cold War venue. I expect we are in for a revolution. The only question in my mind is, what will it be? Will it be in my lifetime? I hope not. I hope not. A true revolution would be short. Right now, we are tolerant of this. If you want proof that we don't live in a fascist government, there's people rioting on the streets right now and burning shit down, and they're not being rounded up and shot by cops. So you don't live in a fascist government. A fascist government wouldn't allow that. Just stating the obvious. Yeah, and as far as, there's help wanted signs everywhere. I wouldn't be saying it over and over again if I mean, there's a help wanted sign in my gym. There was a help wanted sign in the grocery store. There was a help wanted sign in the UPS store. There was a help wanted sign at the Walgreens. There was a help wanted sign at the CVS. There's help wanted signs at all the Starbucks. There's help wanted signs at the Pete's. There's help wanted signs fucking everywhere. I don't know why. I just assumed that the unemployment was paying better because that's it. I don't know. Or people just don't want to work. But we got high unemployment, yet I'm seeing help wanted signs everywhere. But that's the state of California. All right. I don't know what it's like in your state. I don't know what it's like in New Hampshire or fucking Rhode Island or anywhere else. Talking about California. Our minimum wage here for the state is pretty high. It was creeping up to $20 in San Francisco, but everything is 8 times more expensive here than it is in your state too. So it evens out. It evens out. But yeah, I don't know why there's help wanted signs. Oh, I do. They need work. They're woefully understaffed in a lot of places right now. And you're seeing that. And I thought it was a breakdown in the supply chain. You know, when I saw Starbucks run out of fucking coffee, but they're like, no, we're understaffed. We can't staff people right now. Amazon's hiring like crazy. I mean, their jobs, they're not the greatest jobs in the world, but their work. I worked a bunch of jobs that sucked, but I needed to live. You know, I can't have my pick of the litter all the time. I had to go, after I sold my shop, I had to go back to selling auto parts. That wasn't fucking fun. That sucked. But I needed work. I wasn't going to go on the dole. So, yeah. And, I was healthy enough to work, and I needed to work, and I needed to pay the bills. So I had to swallow my pride and go back to my old career at less money. That's part of life. But yeah, I honestly don't know why there is a shortage when they say unemployment is so high, yet there's jobs everywhere. They're not all going to be middle management, $75,000 a year jobs, but they're jobs. Here in the Steadfast for 5 Canadian pesos. Shout out to Drunk 3PO. Hail. Harper, welcome to the proto-molecule level. You dare hey for $4.99. Is it just me, or is it ironic that Discovery's initials are STD? No, it's appropriate. It's absolutely appropriate. Absolutely appropriate. How do you defeat China that is such a huge superpower? Asked Jonathan Aldridge for £5. You don't go to war with them. Any thoughts on Cyberpunk comic from Dark Horse? I was thinking of getting it. DCG for $6.99. I would. Dark Horse is a good company. You just got to watch out for it being woke, but it might not be coming from them. I might have the world's greatest question. Wait, I do. It's aliens, says Harper for $5. It is aliens. Finally got rid of my TV license. Here you need one if you have a television, even if it's broken. Got rid of my TV since I never use it anymore. Says Pacino for £5. Is that true? That's crazy. Now, do you have to pay a license if you just watch shit on your computer all day? Because, yeah, I don't watch my television. I haven't turned on my television in months. How do you, I read that one. I'm glad I found you, and I'm only 19 years old. You have been a great source of entertainment and great learning experience from your success stories. Thank you. Nataku is that, oh boy, I'm terrible at Roman numerals. Let me get it right here. Let's go take a look. Oh, you be quiet. 25. Is that 25? 25. Nataku 25. Thank you for the $5. Captain Spire, what's up? Back from the grand vacation in Colorado around Pikes Peak. How's the coffee supply? Wonderful, thank you. You're wonderful. How's the move? So far, so good. I almost killed my wife just a moment ago, but I'm glad she's okay because I have shit all over my floor right now. I have giant piles of action figures. You can go to my Twitter and see them. Where are you able to get in touch with AA groups? Yes, I'm going to a meeting inside a building very, very soon. So, and I talked to my sponsor today. That's why I was late. Your wife is an awesome supporter. Thanks, buddy. Live long and prosper, Gary. You too, Captain Spire. And my wife is brilliant. Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit, photography, telekinetic movement, full trance, mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis? Harper for $10? Yes. The answer is yes, and I truly do. What was the Wonder Woman thing you hinted about on Sunday? Oh, it was that comic that we were just talking about. So they came out with this cringe comic, which is supposed to be, it's supposed to be Wonder Woman's look through history, and it's historic Wonder Women. It's got Ruth Bader Ginsburg and just all the typical left-wing people. No, actually not typical left-wing people. Some people you've never heard of, but they're all Democrats. Like all. There's 2 neutral people in it. And it's just cringe. Yeah, we never did get around to it. It's cringe. Doomcock would have had the same reaction. Deadwood Dale for $5. Gary, you quickly become one of my favorite YouTubers next to Razorfist and EVS. I am mostly a Comicsgate guy, but watching you has been fun lately. Well, thank you, Deadwood Dale. I appreciate it. It's good company to be in, by the way. I appreciate that. Free Kodak Black for $5. Yo, Mr. Gary, I went to San Francisco once, saw a guy jump off a roof and kill himself. What the hell? The city needs Frank Bullitt and Dirty Harry Callahan. It does. It does. Free Kodak. There are a ton of suicides off that Golden Gate Bridge. That's why they had to put a net below it, and it still doesn't stop people. There is a documentary about the guy who survived the jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. He was one of my earliest customers at my comic shop. Yes. It's not a great film though. It's a documentary that was based on kind of lies. They talked to some people about suicide. They told them that the documentary would be more of a suicide prevention thing. And it turned out it was like really exploitive. So the documentary's out there, but it's exploitive. It's bad. Dan Vask for $5 Russian. My good sir, I think you skipped my last super chat question. You know what? I would go back up it, but I may have. But we'll stop it now. Hang on. Politics is everywhere these days, and pop culture is the last Cold War venue. I read that one. There we go. I'm not a Star Trek scholar. Just started watching TOS because of you, but why do they seem to boycott Shatner and everything TOS related nowadays? He could have played an old Kirk on the reboot like they did with Spock. They boycott him because he's a white male captain. They are anti-white male in charge right now. They're really playing up the virtue signaling. They're not really anti-white male. They're not really anti or for anything. They don't believe in any of that shit. They're full of shit, virtue signaling, vapid, shallow adult pretenders and people who help adults pretend. Nobody at Star Trek is actually woke. They just pretend to be, and they're fucking awful at it. They're as awful at being woke as they are at writing stories. They're still going to try it though, but their motivations are like, I believe Chris Chibnall is like woke. Alex Kurtzman is an empty shell that will fill himself with any current trend to keep himself relevant because he's talentless. And well, there's a lot of evidence to prove that. Thank you, Dan. Where was Fred Sacco for $25? Hail, Gary. Thank you for the $25. Politics is like the WWF. Lots of noise out front, getting the crowd riled up, taking sides. After the match is over, the same group are in back having a beer, laughing about how they put one over on the fans. Look at their money. Agreed. I totally agree. The only difference in that, and whether you're a fan or not, is they are not going and drinking with Donald Trump. He is not part of that club. He's part of a whole different club, but that none of us are going to get into, but he's not part of that club. They fucking hate him, and they are willing to burn down our fucking country to get rid of him. Again, I don't care if you support him or not. Those are the facts right now. Those are the goddamn facts. They are willing to do just about anything. So I wouldn't put it past anyone. And this has been a great year for conspiracy theorists. It's been a great year for conspiracy theorists. Now, there's certain conspiracies that are still completely whack, but you can't deny politics has been, they use the coup for politics. They use the coup for politics. And we're all just waiting. We're all just waiting. And it's up to us to stop waiting, by the way. If we're going to continue to wait for politicians to allow us to use our freedom again, we'll be waiting a long time, and then they will shut us down again. So we need to do something that might, certain people are like, do you want to die? Do you want to go and die? You know what? I'd rather do that than live cowering in fear all the fucking time. You can make your own decision, but I'll make mine. A few bucks for the trip to HEB when you visit Texas. Hell yeah. Thank you. Phoenix Tangent for $2. Cheers. Miracle Draw for £2. Hey, missed my previous super chat. Your work, love your work. Hail. I will go back and look. DCG for 2 Canadian pesos. Have you ever been up to Canada? If so, where? British Columbia, Vancouver and British Columbia when I was like 7. You were still owned by the British government back then. Sorry about that, Miracle Draw. I'm going back and looking right now. I'm going to have to refresh. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, but it might pop in when I refresh. Hang on, buddy. There it is. I think one of two things. As a second companion tenant, as there was a rumor on that. Oh, yeah, Jack. But there was a rumor about Tenant new character. As says Miracle Draw for £5. Well, my Jack thing was just a theory. It's not a rumor. It's a theory. They haven't announced any new companions that I know of, which is odd. So Jody being alone with Yaz would be awful. So again, could they regenerate at Christmas? They could. I don't think it'll happen though. And if it does, I'll be wrong and I'll be happy. Good enough. But I just, until I see or hear differently, I am going to come at everything like you got to look at life through their lens, through their fucking lens. So they fired Jodie Whittaker. How does Chris Chibnall feel about that? Would he be quiet about it? Maybe. Is he a punk? Would he just show no loyalty to her? Okay. So they fire the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker. they're going to get a shitload of blowback. Does the guy at the BBC not care? Okay, good. That's a double good. That's awesome. I need to see that, though. That is not anything I will believe until I see it. That they don't give a shit about the blowback, about firing the first female doctor. Same thing about erasing the Star Wars trilogy. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think it'll happen, though, because there's too much blowback that they care way too much about. Now, I want it to happen. Doesn't mean I don't want it to happen. But I just think logistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless it's an Eccleston situation. But remember, Eccleston was fucking crazy. Like, he was crazy in the first season. He had a lot of problems that we didn't know that were going on behind the scenes. My God, he was freaking anorexic. And probably on dope. Probably had a lot of shit going on. And I'm sorry he did. But he also was great as his doctor. He was fucking great. Jodie was not. She's been a total disaster. They've gotten rid of the two companions. So do they get rid of her? Well, I mean, they just ran some press with her a couple of months ago, but I can't say I've seen anything since. I haven't heard a peep about filming, so maybe shit has changed. I don't know. But we have all heard that she was leaving before, including from me. I reported on a Starburst article that reported that she and Chibnall were leaving after season 12, and they did not leave. So I was prepared for them to be there for the long haul. Now, but I'll tell you right now, before I heard the rumor from my friend, I was convinced she was going to be gone anyway. 3 seasons, she had enough, plus the ratings are shit. There's no way they can avoid those ratings. No way in hell they can avoid those ratings. Because they are going to be worse. And they're going to be a lot worse now because there's going to be a bigger delay. So maybe they just bow her out. Man, that's going to be that's damn near shaming her. That's damn near shaming her. That would be kind of funny if they did it. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not necessarily, I can't believe it right now though. I can't. Do I believe that there's somebody at the BBC who wants to straighten shit out? Yes. I want to believe that. All right. Where was I? Undisclosed location for $5. Is a Tarantino Star Trek going to happen or not? No. I want a Logan movie version now. Screw PG rated. Yeah, it's not going to happen. And it wasn't even going to be really Tarantino at all. So, undisclosed location, $5. It's not happening. There's no Star Trek movies happening. They want shit to happen, but they can't get it financed apparently. Shane Roysek for $2. Doctor Who news. What bad news did I miss? No, it might be potential good news. I'm not saying I believe it. I want to, though. That supposedly Jodie will be regenerating in the Christmas special and that there is a new person at the BBC who will axe the fucking show if it doesn't turn around. That I believe. I believe the latter for sure. Hi, Gary. I just noticed in the YouTube chat that a person just said that Tom Baker should be regenerated. How would that work? How would that? He already did regenerate. And then comes back to Tom Baker? They did that as the curator. I mean, Jodie Whittaker being regenerated? There is a possibility. I mean, okay, there's precedence. Again, Eccleston regenerated without turning into somebody, but they would be losing a huge opportunity. That means it was a last-minute decision done in haste, which would shame the hell out of Jodie Whittaker as an actress, the first female doctor, which means they would be under tons of criticism. Oh man. And again, I hope they do it. And I can read the articles today, or I can read the articles right now. Doctor Who bows to the trolls, or bends the knees to the trolls, or feeds the trolls. You mean the fans, by the way, the fans who just want good Doctor Who. All right. And that wraps it up for today. 3 hours, 14 minutes. That was good. It was a great show. Had a lot of fun. We had a lot of people watching. We got over 2,000 likes. We had some awesome freaking Nerdrotics here today. Eric K, Lori Wilson, Bionic Belly Button. What's up? Lori Wilson, like I said, and then Mark Lerzeth. And who else was here? And produced by Lady Gravemaster, of course. If I missed a mod, let me know. Oh, Chris Persia, the Canadian Wrench. I knew there was another one up there. Thanks everyone who super chatted. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for the super chats from the little stream. I'll go ahead and attach it somewhere on the stream. So it'll be there. My robot voice. I will. Why the fuck not? I got nothing to hide, man. No shame to my game. So to wrap up, Star Trek is still a platform. It had a whole day and nobody gave a fuck, and they disrespected Shatner. The reason we are here is not the fans. It is not the fans' fault. Anybody who tries to blame fans, including other fucking YouTubers, are disingenuous people who are having trouble with their channels. Anytime you see another YouTuber talk about another YouTuber by name all the time when they're supposed to be like reviewing Star Trek or something like that, just go to the Social Blade. That'll answer your question. Not everybody does great all the time, and it gets frustrating and it sucks, but connect with your audience. If that's through liking Star Trek Discovery, fine, go for it. But you're not going to connect with your audience by offending them. You see, because when you talk shit about like Doomcock or Mecca, chances are you share a subscriber with them, and that subscriber might not like it. Also, it's your coworker here. Also, those are people who have helped you. Man. But yeah, that's the circle of life on YouTube, and I understand it. And I thank you for all your support. And our next live stream will be tomorrow. We're going to be noon tomorrow. I am working on a video. I'm actually going to have 2 or 3 videos, and hopefully it's not looking good right now, but hopefully The Office will be up by Friday Night Tights. By the way, you want to know who's on Friday Night Tights? Mahler and Rags. This Friday Night Tights. Man, that's EFAP FNT crossover. Hell yeah. That's fucking awesome. And we're working on other guests. He doesn't know it yet, but I want to get Kurt Metzger back. There's a lot of shit we got to do, including pinning action figures up on the wall after I go work out. So thank you for your time. Thank you for spending it with me. And we got another couple super chats. Mary Ashmead, thank you for the super sticker. You're not supposed to do that as a mod, by the way. Thank you for being you, says 32 flavors of Nick Weiser for $5. Thank you for being you. And thank you all for being here again. See you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Don't forget Friday Night Tights at 2 p.m. Pass it on, please. Mahler and Rags will be joining us. And not all who wander are lost. Oh, wait. We got to go out with the theme music. So we'll do that. Good night, everybody.
Nerdrotic.com.
Ciao, everyone.